Blake's Buzz Live. Buzz, 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 buzz. It's Blake's Buzz Live. Buzz, 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 buzz. It's Blake's Buzz Live. More, hate less, read comics. It's Blake's Buzz Live.
Buzz, buzz, babies.
Buzz, buzz, babies. It's Wednesday night. Wednesday Night Live with your host Blake Morgan and his intensely talented guests that are going to quickly regret coming on the show, I'm sure. How's it going, everybody? I'm so excited. We took a short break, but we're back because you can't fucking get rid of me. I can't. I'm gonna be here. All I know how to do is run my mouth. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here. We're doing a live show. I've got some wonderfully talented guests here. Some are doing some Kickstarter stuff. Some people like Jeffrey are in the direct market, dropping from Scout. That's cool. It's his show, technically. We're going to follow his lead. I'm just kidding. Everybody here is so talented with some amazing comics that, listeners, you're going to want to back, pre-order, buy something. You're going to want to get these things in and around your life so that you can get them on your shelf, because these are some shelf-worthy, badass creators here tonight. And I'm so excited to talk to all of you. I've talked to a couple of you before. And thank you for coming back. Thank you for giving me the grace of God and giving me a second shot. Anyways, hi, my name's Blake. I'm really excited because we missed a couple weeks, and I'm happy to be back. And my birthday's tomorrow, and I took a 4-day weekend, and I drank 3/4 of a bottle of Jameson Orange. I'm feeling good, feeling great, and I'm excited to talk about comics. Laurie, yes, that's the look I was going for. Was what? I used to be a bouncer. I was a bouncer for 7 years in a bar, and because of that, even though I don't party that much anymore, my body just takes alcohol. It's like I'm a whiskey sponge basically, and I just gotta power through it to get a little bit of. I ruined myself forever because I had too much fun for 7 years. Anyways, we're not here to talk about my poor, sad, dying liver. We're here to talk about some awesome comic books and some awesome creators. I'm going to go around. I'm going to introduce everybody. No one paid for this order. It's just in the screen. The StreamYard order is what we're going to go in. Unless any of you want to, subscribe to my Patreon real quick, then I'll introduce you first as a joke. Anyways, Laurie Foster is here. Laurie, this is the first time we've talked. Mr. Kickstarter, who's going to be late, Charlie Stickney, will be on the show, I'm told, maybe sometime. He's got those little gremlins that you make, humans, and he's got to put them to bed and read them stories and shit. He recently introduced me to Laurie, and Laurie, you're a cosplayer, an inker, and you have your own kind of boutique publishing house, right? You're all in. You're in it to win it.
Yeah, I'm kind of doing everything, editor too, and yeah, I own Unlikely Heroes Studios, and yeah, all kinds of stuff.
That's so rad. Unlikely Heroes is such a cool name too. I dig that.
Thank you.
Dig that. As I used to be excited about Blake's Buzz because you could Google it and it was easy and no one else had it, but Unlikely Heroes is way better. Maybe I need to rebrand. I don't know. So that's a thought for another time.
But then you have to change your shades.
Oh, I would.
Right.
Yeah, I gotta keep the bee thing going, right? Fuck. Yeah.
But bees are technically Unlikely Heroes too, right?
Yeah. You know what? I used remember when everybody was talking about the bees dying and they thought that planet Earth was next. They were the bees are dying and the planet's next. We have to have bees to have the planet. Now we every time I see a bee now, I'm so careful around it. I'm I'm sorry, sir, excuse me. I'm you're here. This is it's your world. I'm just maneuvering around you. But yeah, it's anyways, Laurie, we're not here to talk about bees. We're here to talk about Laurie's comic and other people's comic. But Laurie, how you doing tonight? How's it going?
I'm doing great. I wish I was 3/4 of the way through a bottle of something, but I don't think I would be very coherent. I don't know if I can talk about it yet, but I'm currently with Unlikely Heroes. We're running a Kickstarter for a comic book called Miss Medusa's Monstrous Menagerie, and I did give Blake issue 1 to read. I'm kind of curious what he thought of it.
It's real fucking good. We're going to talk about that here in a moment, but it's real fucking good, and it's real. You know what all of your comics have in common? Everybody on this panel tonight, they're all real fucking good and they're real fucking pretty. I'm just going to throw that out there. You all have that in common. You have some really great works. And when I was like prepping for this show, and I was like, man, like these people are out of my fucking league. Like, what are they doing? This is crazy. But no, it's really awesome stuff. I'm stoked to talk about it later. I love it's got like I was really into Carnival, like the show, right? Like when it was on, and it reminded me of that in a more like lighthearted, less fatalistic way. And we'll get into that later. But yes, I did love it. The art is absolutely jaw-dropping. Very excited to get into this campaign and get into the second issue. So yeah, hopefully we can get you some backers. If not, fuck you, listeners. Like, you need to be backing these comics I'm promoting. This is how you run your audience, ladies and gentlemen. You call them out. All right, you call them.
That's a power move right there.
You're like, listen, cowards, back these fucking comic books. All right,
fuck all of you.
It's the metaphor of the bee again, right? You sting and then you leave your stinger in them and go off and die.
You sting and then you float away and you die. And then that's it. You've completed your purpose. But yeah, Laurie, thank you for coming on. Excited to get more into that later. If people that have not watched my show before, the intro part usually takes about 20 minutes because I am just a sidetrack machine. No matter like if I have had drinks, or a couple weeks ago I surprised everybody and ate a gummy, and all night everybody just kept waiting. Everybody's like, he's gonna lose it, and I was cool. I kept it rolling.
Yeah. That's exactly what I did right before we started, because I don't drink anymore, so I figured I'm what they call California sober.
Nice. I like that.
I've never heard that before. That's amazing. Love it. All right. Well, and next up, he's back on the show for the second time. I was even more drunk actually last time I talked to Timothy. I was shithouse hammered when we did the Cthulhu. When we did the Cthulhu
that's right.
podcast.
That's right, with Russell. Sure.
Yeah. So Timothy, how you doing, bud? Like, good to see you back.
Man, thanks for having me, Blake. As always, it's a pleasure. I got a deep respect for what you do, and thank you for promoting indie creators. It's nice to meet. I knew Laurie a little bit from the group, but it's nice to meet the new people, and I'm really grateful about it, man. I'm having a hell of a good week, publishing-wise. Things are starting to come out for me, and I got this Kickstarter too. And as some of you know, it's Baltimore Comic-Con, which is our big push for the year, honestly, this year. And it's going to be a whopper. I got, it's a team. There's 14 of us, but it's 10 titles we got now.
Wow. That's exciting.
Yeah, so I'm kind of thrilled about the whole thing. And then, of course, this first couple issues got picked up by Antarctic Press. So that's in comic shops this week. Just a quick plug, man. It looks kind of like that. If you've seen that red cover, walk to your comic store and immediately demand it.
I didn't know you got picked up.
Yeah, what they do is they anthologize. The Water Wars are short stories, so they're very easily anthologized across different platforms. So the first issue is Planet Comics number 3, and the second one is Planet Comics number 8. And if I got this right, I guess it's okay to say this, the Hunchback is going to turn up early, I think it's February, something like that. So yeah, praise Allah. I'm having a little bit of luck there with the publishing, but I'm still doing my own thing. I'm still doing my own thing. I do the Kickstarters, and that's really the way to go for me. I'm a small publisher, I guess you might say a tiny publisher, but I do my own thing. I don't.
I say boutique. I don't
boutique.
Know who, I don't know who I stole that from, but I saw that online and it sounded real smart. I was like, boutique publishers.
And you like the first couple, right, Blake? You like them?
Of what?
Of the Water Wars books? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they were okay. I'm just fucking kidding. They were fucking awesome. They were great. And the art is insane. Like, oh my God. Like, again, all of you have really wonderful luck with artists. And Timothy has a lot of has like a rolling cast of artists. Like he switches it up and keeps it fresh. But yes, I love it. I love water. I like to drink water. And I like the idea of the fear of it taken away, you know, like it really makes me feel like I'm living in the moment. You know? Like I'm like, all these things could just be gone. And you know what? I don't remember the percentage. High school was a long time ago. I killed too many brain cells, but we're like a lot of water, right? Like I'm more water than the rest of you. Like I'm a wider gallon. I'm like a wider barrel of water than the rest of you, but there's more water. Yeah.
Are you sure it's not just liquor at this point? Or
I mean, there's water in liquor too. There's a little bit, and some sugar and some fermented yeast, maybe. I don't know. How do they make booze? I forgot. Anyways, I just care about how it goes going down. Anyways, but you know, like it's very intense, and I love that this futuristic world is like, and we'll get into this more later, but all, you know, this basic thing, water, is gone, but it's still like a high tech world.
Right.
And I also like that you made robot dogs that are very similar to my fucking asshole puppy right now.
Yeah. I'm a dog lover. You probably noticed a couple of the stories focus around the love of a dog, and I think that it's something that people can relate to kind of universally. And it's, you know, the robot thing, I came by it honestly. They're sci-fi stories, but somebody pointed out to me the other day, I think every story has a robot in it. So I gotta change it up, man. I gotta try and before I get typecast, you know, I'm kind of the robot guy. I was that way in Russell's book too, which is the Lovecraft story, and mine was the robot story. So I mean, I guess there's worse things, right? But that's you know, if you're going to write sci-fi, and just a quick reference for the people who aren't too familiar, it is a sci-fi world. The stories are standalone stories. You can read just one, but if you do like that things are connected, they all do connect. And so, you know, you don't have to read number 2 to figure out what's going on in number 4. You can read number 4 and it's a story in there. But if you like that kind of thing, they're all connected by the lore.
Yeah, and because of that, you should buy all the comics. You should buy all of them. You should go check out his Kickstarter, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But
thank you.
Yes, they're you know, you can read them solo, but you should read them all. That's how you know. Give this man your money. Joey Galvez, what's up, baby? He's writing water on the bottle doesn't make it water. Oh, you know what?
There's still a percentage of water in there. We did establish that.
There's ice in here. There's ice in here. All right. And there's also Mountain Dew Kickstarter Orange and Jameson Orange. Jameson Orange, by the way, will make your life better. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Sounds dangerous. Like
so
something
dangerous.
That's just so good that it shouldn't exist.
Jameson Orange and Sprite taste like orange soda. All right.
Don't tell me that. Why did you tell me that?
I will turn into Kel and be like, who loves orange soda? Blake's Buzz loves fucking orange soda, baby. And it just works. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. It's super dangerous though. But yeah, so yeah, anyways, Timothy, I'm going to call you that all night, by the way.
Go for it, man. Go for
it. But thank you for coming back. Thank you for giving me a second shot. I'm
glad to be here, man.
We always appreciate that.
I'm grateful. Thanks for doing what you do, brother.
Yeah, man. What else would I do? Fucking watch Netflix movies? Like, fuck, man. I gotta do something, man. I get shit drives me crazy. Anyways, next up, Mr. Jeffrey Burandt. Mr.
One.
Oh, I got it in 1. I did it. Boom, 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 boom. Matta's gonna be the one I fuck up when I go to her after this.
That way I'm last.
Yeah. You're also like the last on the screen with me too. Like, so it wasn't like, you know, just
it was fate.
Yeah, it was just serendipitous like that. You know, this is wonderful. But so Jeffrey, this has been a long time coming, man. Like we set this up. We set this up like in September.
I think so.
Or something.
Yeah, I was trying to set up, you know, I have a book called Ghost Planet coming out from Scout Comics. It was
you do
out on the 19th, But as probably everyone knows, both Scout Comics and their printers, Comic Impressions, are in Fort Myers, Florida, so they got hit pretty hard by Ian.
Right. God did not want this comic to go out.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Planet Earth was against
flying
you,
wide
man.
delays. There are obviously others in the community, and it's also, my comic book is the least of concerns when people lost lives and property. And so
that is
you got to keep everything in perspective. And I know the Scout people are working hard and literally and metaphorically have been underwater. So the comic will come out when it comes out.
And good things come to those who wait.
Live stream.
But it's a great book. It really is, man.
Were you able to read the whole thing? I think I sent you the preview.
Oh yeah. You sent me the full on review copy. You know what I told a couple people tonight? It's fucking Junji Ito in space. Is how I feel like it is.
Oh wow,
that's great. I mean, that was a direct reference when we were originally kicking around the ideas for, especially for some of that imagery we're probably talking about.
Dude, the fucking eyes. Oh my god. Oh, dude, like, I love it. I love it so much. The eyes and the spores and the fucking weirdness and the fungus among us and everything, man. It's just so good, so good. Shout out to David Hazan, who loves to pop into my live stream. You're just a beautiful man, David. I fucking love you, man. He's I don't know if you guys know who David is. He's a fucking mad cave Renaissance man right in Nottingham, and he watches my show for some fucking weird ass reason. That guy.
Tim, I wanted to say I'll be at Baltimore this weekend also.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, who is? Are all you going to be at Baltimore? Because I feel like everybody I've talked to all week is just everybody's partying in Baltimore.
Yeah, I've got a table with we're guests with Dean Haspiel, Sean Von Gorman, who did the art behind me and for Ghost Planet, and writer Whitney Matheson. We all have a big Brooklyn table together, such that our buddy Chris Muskevich, who he wrote the Elvis bio and the Grateful Dead bio for Z2 recently. He was at the table behind us, so we talked and they're like taking everything down. So it's just going to be this pit of Brooklyn comic creators. So we're pretty excited about it.
Nice.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah, we'll have to hook up, man. I got some promo stuff. I'll make sure I share with you.
Sweet.
You guys should all party real fucking hard too, and then wake up and table all day. That's the con experience. Is the hungover shenanigans. That's where comics realness lives.
Yeah. It's going to be a big one. Supposedly they have a record ticket.
Yeah, it's crazy. Literally. So like I'm in Kansas City, Missouri, right? And I've made some like friends of like pros. And so like last night, like I was talking to Pat Shan and Pat's like, so like I took a 4-day weekend off of work because I'm fucking almost 40 and like, yeah, I don't want to work on my fucking birthday. And my birthday was on a Thursday. So I might as well take off Friday too if I take off Thursday. So I had this like 4-day weekend. Everybody's like, oh dude, come down to Baltimore. And I'm like, I don't have any fucking money. And like, you got to get down there. And then even if you do go, the same thing happened to me with SDCC. This year I got offered a press pass to SDCC and I was like, that's fucking cool. But like, how do I get down there? Where do I stay? Where do I sleep? And how do I eat for 3 days? Like, because these are issues that, and I just don't, the Patreon's not taking off that great yet. And the OnlyFans needs a lot of work. I'm just kidding. I don't have an OnlyFans, but
you need to put more time into that OnlyFans.
Yeah, more feet pics.
Just by providing the platform is going to get you a floor to crash on, at least.
That is, yeah, right. Like I'll give you an interview if you give me a couch. That's, but yeah, so but that's cool. I'm glad you guys are going to be at Baltimore. That's dope. It sounds like it's going to be a great show. It's going to be a packed house. There's a lot of talent going to be there.
It's a comic show, it's really, it's not like, they don't have a bunch of acters. It's really the best one.
You're like there's no wrestlers. There's no Cobra Kai. It's just fucking comics all day. I like that. I dig that. That's dope.
Yeah, it's nice.
So you're gonna be there, and that's awesome. And so what's how when you table? I know you've done the previous Kickstarter, so you've got like you've got some issues to move, but like do you have like are you going to sell like some Ghost Planet comps like secretly?
So we have the ash can that Scout put up. So we've got copies of that left, but not many. There is a New York Comic-Con exclusive that didn't make it to New York Comic-Con that we'll have available to sell eventually. We were hoping to have that by this weekend, but I don't think that's going to happen. But I've been making comics since 2006 or 7, so I got a lot of stuff.
You got a lot of stuff you can sell.
I got a book from Oni. I just moved. That was a big problem in my life in the last 90 days, and I opened this case of this zine we made in 2012. So that's just
shit.
That's just like being given away to get them out. But it's cool. It's something that me and Haspiel, Muscat, all these same people I'm talking about, we made together a decade ago. And then so I've got tons of stuff because I've always have short stories in anthologies. I was in the AOC comics, the From Devil's Due, and they provided a lot of comps, which was nice. So I've got a lot of comps of theirs to sell. I've got the Containment Breach 2 book, Myth Reborn, Blake. I think you've had people on from that.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of stuff to sell, and that's my favorite thing. Like I worked at Barnes and Noble for over a decade in college and stuff, and so I love hand selling. Like that's
So you can pitch some fucking books. Like
I think
you're ready to go.
Like to the detriment of like going to talk to editors and secure work like other people do. I'm like just standing there trying to sell you my book for $20.
Shout out to fucking Part-Time Comics John Westhoff, who's here in the house. Oh, I love that guy.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He's got me into Magic the Gathering lately, and I'm still struggling trying to figure out how to play that game. And he posted a picture tonight of him and his kids playing, and his kids are young. So I'm like, cool. I'm really glad I can't figure out this game that like 11-year-olds play. That's great. I'm getting there. Baby steps. And last but not least, Man of the Sorceress.
Yes. Perfect. You did it. You got it.
How the fuck are you? You're coming off of you got the project we love. Your 5 for 5 project you love, right?
6 for 6.
6 for 6. Oh, because you relaunched. That's right.
Yep.
So you're just fucking like slaughtering Kickstarter, and you've got some cool new covers, some cool new foil covers. Your new campaign's doing well. You like, how's it going? How's it feeling? And you got a new cat. You got
there's a lot going on at once.
So much. He's so cute. Oh my god, he's
so tiny,
handsome little boy.
The other cat that I have, which is funny because I'm going to digress and talk about my cats now because they're super interesting, and I may be a crazy cat lady, but
a cat just emerged.
Yeah,
I summoned a cat.
Him.
Amazing. What a beautiful void.
This was meant to be.
So yeah, last year around this time, like a stray cat walked into my house, and I was just like, all right, I guess I have a cat now. And then like exactly this time this year, I got another stray cat just in my house. They're both orange. And the first one is a behemoth named Muffin, and the new one is a tiny little orange lad named Pumpkin. And he's adorable. Yeah. He's still very skittish, but
he's super. That's what you like posted. You're like, look at this skittish cat. And he's just like all up in your hand, like, yes. Oh,
we're working on it. But he was pulling away. He's like, I like this, but should I? It feels wrong, you know.
The same thing happened to my sister. My sister and I, our family, like I don't not like cats. Like when other people have cats, like I try and befriend them, and sometimes it works, and sometimes I leave with like claw marks all over me, but I still try. Fair. And but my sister, we never had cats as pets growing up, and one day, like my sister and my about to be brother-in-law. Well, I guess he's going to be my brother-in-law, unless I just jinxed it and accidentally broke up their marriage by saying that. But we'll deal with that when we get there next year. But she's engaged, and her fiance he's good people, and so they they move into this new house, and they've lived there for not very long, and they were bringing in like grocery stuff and had the door propped open, and this black cat comes running in and just like bolts into the door, makes himself at home, doesn't leave. They name
Yeah, it
him
lives there
Gary.
now. Free
Yeah,
cat.
yeah, and so they named him Gary, and he's cool, and he's cool. They had him a few months, and then they adopted an orange tabby named Tangy, and Tangy the other day, like, all right, so like the other day we're over there, and they, you know, we all smoke, we're all drug addicts, right? So like we fucking I take a hit off her bong, I'm pretty lit, I'm sitting on her couch, and her cat jumps up on my lap, and all of a sudden everybody looks at me, and I'm like scratching her belly, and she's just loving it, and everybody's like, she doesn't let people do that. And I was like, what? I was just like, because, and then I learned then that like cats aren't like dogs. They don't really, not all cats like the belly scritches.
Yeah, it's a sign of trust, but usually they're like, here's my belly, but like, don't you dare touch me.
Right.
Yeah, she was all about it. And
Amazing.
then what sucked is she kind of got tired of it, but she didn't get mad at me. She just rolled over, and she like perched on my like thigh, right? And I'm like rubbing her back, and she was digging her claws into me, like anchoring, and it hurt so bad.
Oh, she was
but
eating you.
I didn't. Yeah, she was like biscuiting my thigh, but it hurt.
Yeah,
like,
it does.
but I didn't want to get mad. You know, I was like, hey, we're bonding. So, anyways, I like cats are pretty cool, and I always see like videos of like dogs and cats getting along, and I kind of want to like. But I don't trust Bruce. Like my new puppy Bruce.
Yeah, he's a troublemaker.
It's exactly what he is. He loves trash, and he loves causing a ruckus, and he's spoiled as all get out. But yeah, anyways, but I love him. He's all ears, and he doesn't listen, which is great. He's
adorable.
He has like these 3-foot ears. He doesn't hear a fucking word I say. I swear to God.
Anyways, he hears. He just doesn't. He
doesn't
hears,
give
but
a
he
shit.
doesn't listen.
But anyway, you have a
Yes.
comic out, right?
Yes, I do have a comic. Like, unlike these fine folk, I just have the one comic, and I'm that weird person that just sits there and like writes and draws and letters everything, and I'm like a pet parrot. You're gonna be stuck with me for like the next 50 years with this book. I swear to God, like for better or worse. But yeah, it's called Sacrimony. It's a fantasy drama about a girl who died, but then she got better. But there's a catch, because with mysterious resurrections, there's always a catch.
Yes.
She has no memory of her past, no idea why she has magical powers, or why she has demon wings that she has to hide from society.
Cool. And you have some like quick, solid wit. It's funnier than I thought it would be. Like when I first heard you kind of talk about it, it sounded like very like high fantasy serious, and then when I explored the narrative, it's like it's got a little bit of goofiness in it too, which is good. Like you can't be too heavy all the time, right? You got to like lighten it up every now and then.
I call it like the fancy suit theory, and I'm sure like it's nothing new, but it's like, you know, if you have like that one suit and you get like, and you wear it and people are like, oh, hey, cool suit, you know, and you keep wearing it every day, like it no longer gets special. You don't get the same kinds of reactions. So like, I like to mix it up. I think Sacrimony is sort of like more of like an anything goes sort of comic. Like I can't really stick to like, oh, this is like a comedy or like a serious drama. Like you have to kind of like, art imitates life. I like to imitate life. I like to make my characters feel like real people. So like if someone's going to do something like incredibly stupid, they're going to do something incredibly stupid, and people are going to be like, oh, that's kind of funny. But then, you know, the next scene it'll be like, oh, well, something kind of sad happened. Oh no.
Yeah, you got to switch it up. I like that you do that. I like that you keep us on our toes as an audience. I think that makes for better comics. And then let's see. So John wants me to end the show and play Magic. Yeah, I mean we could. I did buy a commander deck. I have no idea how it works, but I sleeved them and it was fun, and the art's really cool on all the cards. That's all I know. And then, what's up, fucking Alan Dunn? Met Tim last year. Tim is a super cool dude and a great creator. Alan is also a super cool dude and a great creator who just dropped Grandma Chainsaw PDF on all our laps for the backers, which I'm really excited to read this weekend. I've read a little bit of it. I have a day job, unfortunately, and like when I'm doing the day job, it's slow right now, and so I'm like on the computer all the time, and so I play on Twitter a lot, and like like people be like, hey, here's this comic, and I'll try and like read them when it's like slow, or like today when I tried to listen to Charlie's to Spaces on Twitter that like 45 fucking people were in, and I was like trying to listen, and every time I like pop it open, and then what sucks about Spaces is you can't mute it. If you want to mute Spaces, you have to mute your whole computer. Well, when you're getting fucking live calls through your computer, you can't mute your whole computer, right? So like, so they need to, I know the leaders of Twitter follow me and watch my shows and listen to my feedback, vigorously.
And they're going to back all of our Kickstarters.
Yeah, and they're going to like actually, and not just that, they're going to throw that when it asks you, it's like, oh yeah, you can back this tier. Do you want to give extra money? And I'm always like, no, I'm poor. I wish I could, but they're going to be like, here's all the money. That's what happens. But they need a mute function. They have the closed captions. Like let me mute it and watch the closed captions while I pretend to work. That's all I want. Twitter, fuck, like just let me do it.
Yeah, they won't let you speak if you're on a computer either. You have to be on a phone.
What? I didn't know that.
Dumb.
Which, yeah, I panicked and I was like, oh shit. Like, I mean,
Oh, no.
The last Spaces I was on, I accidentally hit the request to speak function. I was just listening. Like I had no business speaking basically. And they were like, oh, Blake, you wanted to talk. And I was like, and then you can't tell them, you can't be like, no, just kidding. There's like no just kidding button to hit, And I was like, okay. And I like popped in and they're like, they asked me about like, and I mean, I know some stuff about Kickstarter, and I was like, I was like, okay, I'll talk for a little bit. And I talked for a little bit. And then they brought me back in and wanted me to do like, do like an outro and like end the show for them. And I was like, man, you fucking bricks just put me on the spot. They're like Blake's a real podcaster. Let's like bring him in and have him close the show. And I was like, no, let's not do that. Like
he knows what he's doing. It's fine.
I mean, I know what I'm doing, but
this is all totally intentional, right?
Yeah. It was. I didn't even get to drink my Jameson. But no. It's funny when like the podcast, like when I do the podcast, I don't usually drink. But the live stream drinking turned into a tradition because the first live show I ever did, I was really, really, really nervous and I drank too fast. And then to calm my nerves turned into 5 minutes into the show, Blake's hammered. And because I didn't realize it. I felt okay, right? And then I'm live and I'm talking, and then like 10 minutes into the live show, I was like, whoa, like, oh, I drank a little bit more than I thought. And then that kind of turned into a tradition where it was like, I'll have drinks. And then I tried to make it like a deal where it was like, get lit and talk nerd shit. And then it's just Blake gets lit and
it makes
embarrasses himself in front of his guests.
Right. Blake's Buzz.
Well, yeah,
Get your Blake's Buzz on. There you go, for free. You can have that one. Get your Blake's Buzz on.
All that still happened on accident, by the way. That was like my friends doing like making jokes about. So like it started, and it sounds so bad. When it started, it was Blake's Buzzin' Reviews. That's how this started. I launched a fucking blog, and it was Blake's Buzzin' Reviews, and then I was like, it sounded too long, it sounded too awkward, and then it turned into Blake's Buzz, and then chaos reigned supreme. But anyways, enough about me. We're here to talk about you all and your wonderful comics. So let's go back to the beginning, and we're gonna go back to Laurie Foster. And Laurie, you have like this crazy Carnival Medusa comic. It's full of bad language. Oh, I love bad language, by the way. But like it's beautiful and the art is crazy and it's so like fun and wild and weird. And so like tell us about Miss Medusa's monstrous menagerie.
All right. So yeah, basically it's a carnival in the South in the 60s, and it's run by mythical creatures, and it's got, it's kind of a drama horror workplace comedy. is the best way I can kind of describe it.
It's like The Office with monsters at a carnival.
You're right. Like,
not quite as awkward though.
Right. How do you deal with a carnival, filled with these dangerous and magical creatures, and it's, before OSHA and stuff. So like, how does one deal with that, and how does one herd all those cats as Miss Medusa as the head of the carnival? Yeah, and then also there's kind of another layer of being a mythic in the South in the 60s, which is, there were already issues with racism and that kind of thing. So it deals with that as well. Yeah.
Do you know your own comic, Laurie?
I do. It's just
you really threw me on the spot here, Blake. You asked me about this comic I'm co-creating with people, and I wasn't prepared.
Well, I'm prepared. I just don't want to spoil too much either.
Okay,
there's a fine balance.
That's true. Are you guys having audio problems or anything? Is anybody?
No.
You guys? No.
I'm good.
I hear
sure?
everybody.
Because what the fuck? Holy shit! Is that Charlie Stickney? Oh my god! Look at that.
He made it.
I really didn't think I was coming, but I was sucked by some kind of vortex, and you got me here. So, and all I have this thought in my head that I need to be backing Water Wars. I need to be backing Medusa's Monstrous Menagerie. I need to be backing Sacrimony. And I need to be heading to Baltimore Comic-Con right now to get the last couple of ash cans of Ghost Planet. And if I don't do those things, like my head was going to explode. And so now I'm here.
So much to do. So Miss Medusa's Monstrous Menagerie, issue 1 and 2. Issue 1 was so good. Like, not even gonna lie. I was so, like, Laurie, I was so stoked when you sent that to me. Like, the only the best part of doing all this shit is that I trick all you guys into giving me fucking free comics, and it works. Great. It's great. Like, I get drunk, I get online to talk about it. You guys send me free comics, and that's it. Boom. I'm like I've made this joke numerous times that I'm like an elephant that works for peanuts, but I'm a Blake that works for PDFs. So, anyways, but let's scroll. Let's find some art here. I love this cover, by the way. This book is so fucking beautiful. Oh my god, like it's insane. Oh, and look at the upper echelon of Kickstarter pages here. Like it scrolls for you. It just cycles through the page. This is like Laurie's just making everybody else look bad. No offense to everybody else on this panel, but
No,
like,
I feel bad. I feel like I don't
good.
belong here anymore. I should leave.
That is
I will say that Laurie puts out one of the prettiest Kickstarter pages that I have seen, hands down. It is just a gorgeous Kickstarter page.
And you guys talked about that. We Charlie, right before you popped in, we were talking about the. I was trying to listen to your spaces today, and I had to, because I get live calls, and so I had to keep, like, every time I would listen, like I would get like a minute, and then I'd have to leave, and then I'd pop back in, and then I'd get another call. But anyways, but you guys were talking about that, like the construction of the Kickstarter page and the construction of the Kickstarter banner and stuff today, like just really wildly helpful stuff that is very cool that you're doing. We'll get to that, more, but I really appreciate the space stuff that you're doing, and I think a few of us in here tonight were in that chat listening to you guys talk about it. But yeah, these are really, 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 really pretty pages, and it's a very, very pretty comic. And not only is it pretty, it's not like superficial, right? Like the story's good too. The story's good. The dialogue flows. It's funny. It's crass. It's very, very good. And Laurie, are you inking this too, right? Or is it?
I'm assisting on the inks. Yeah.
Okay.
This is an interesting and complex book because we have two artists. We have a background artist and a character artist.
Oh wow.
Which is quite a.
Is that a normal thing?
No.
Okay.
And it creates a level of complexity that can be quite frustrating, because to line up backgrounds and characters so they look like they go together is very difficult. And it's like constant coordination between the artists. It's constant coordination between everybody to make it look good and mesh together. But I think we've managed to do it.
Yeah. No, like you've managed like 110%. Yeah. It's so cool. And lettering's great, coloring's great, sound effects are great. This is a very polished comic. This isn't, you know, well, I mean, now it is. Like, this is kind of normal for Kickstarter now, but you know, a while ago, like this wasn't necessarily like the kind of, and I mean like years, like a few years ago, like this wasn't the kind of like stuff we were getting on Kickstarter, right? Like self-publishing comics, it was, you didn't, this wasn't like all of you have like progressed the level of like what we get on Kickstarter now, and made it this new like mammoth publishing machine that it is now. And so like I give all of you like as much credit as I can, because I so appreciate it, and you're making these really great things. But it also aggravates the shit out of me too, because like all of your stuff, it aggravates me that like when you've pitched it to publishers and tried to get it out there and it doesn't get out there, right? And like it should. It like you, part of me wants to say like you shouldn't have to Kickstarter, but I also know that's
like
not.
I just wanted to just say that like some of us choose that over publishing.
Yeah,
that's a path that I think a lot of creators are starting to take, because it's actually can be a lot more lucrative than the direct market. Yeah. And you have more control over what you're doing. And, you know, you can get numbers on Kickstarter that can rival some of the numbers that you'll see in the direct market. So I think while in the past it was, you know, there was a sense that maybe it was lesser. Now it's just one of the choices that you're doing. And it doesn't mean by putting it on Kickstarter, you're not putting it out in the direct market.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because I mean, almost Kickstarter is almost its own publish. It's almost like a publishing house now. I mean, technically, like except like you still have to like work way harder as a person who goes onto Kickstarter, to like put, the press and creation and shipping and everything on your own shoulders. But I mean, Kickstarter could almost have like a publishing name, just like Marvel or Image or DC, like Kickstarter. But we don't have that either, because you guys do like your own. You have your own like publishing imprints within Kickstarter. So, anyways, regardless, this is a really polished, beautiful, well-written, wonderful comic book that is wildly impressive. And this, and if this is the stuff that like that Laurie is putting out, like through their press, like you're fucking killing it. Like, I mean, you're doing it. You're like, it's awesome. And so like, I was really shocked. Like I said, like, so Charlie reached out to me, when I asked him, I was like, hey, you want to come on the show and talk about the game? And he was like, hey, like, do you know Laurie? And I was like, I've heard of Laurie, but I don't know her. And he like, put us in a little chat box and was like, here's Blake, and be on his show. And Laurie was like, I don't know. And I was like, I'm sorry. And but now you're here, and this is a great comic. And so like, what do you okay, so if this is releasing from your press, Laurie, right? So like, what do you look for when you work with these other creatives that you want to release under your imprint and stuff? Like, how do you know what to say yes to, what to say no to, and what to really like get in there? And because that's got to be hard, right? Because people, that's got to be hard.
Right. Yeah. Wow. I'm trying to.
I hit you with the hard questions.
Yeah.
And the long like 30-part questions. That's why people come on Blake's Buzz.
I think I'm kind of a perfectionist, and so far the people that I work with are very similar in that way, quality above quantity. This book takes forever to make, but that's okay.
I feel like this isn't, you're not just crushing this out in a few days. Like, yeah, there's a lot of love and great art and editing and a lot of things going on here.
Oh, that's
right.
Cool
and also just unique concepts and unique main characters and just stuff that you won't see anywhere else, really, is another goal. Unlikely heroes, so to speak.
I love the fuck around and find out cover, I gotta say. Like,
it's a small spoiler about what's going to happen in issue 2 when you fuck around with fairies and you find out. And we also do something kind of different. For Kickstarter specifically, we offer a sideshow edition, and it contains nudity, which the regular edition does not.
I saw that.
And it's strategically censored here, but in the book it is not. So if you need more, with your profanity, you need nudity too, we have that edition for you.
Are you finding that is lucrative? Because that seems to be right now, like, variant covers are really in, and sexy variant covers and not safe for work variant covers are generating like some nice bumps for a lot of campaigns. Are you like, is that how this is working for you too?
The sideshow edition does sell very well. Yes, it is different because it's not just a cover; it's the entire book. Has changes to it. So it is more work once again than we've created for ourselves. But it also has like little Easter eggs, and we include extra content at the end of each issue, and that is also different in the sideshow edition. And it's all like world building and stuff. And if you pay very close attention, there's lots of Easter eggs and spoilers and interesting stuff. And there's equal opportunity nudity. It's not just boobies.
I see. We're almost seeing some hanging dong here that we're missing out on. Kickstarter won't let you show it, obviously. Like, you can't.
Right.
You got to be careful with Kickstarter, because they'll get mad at you. Have you struggled with that in your campaign pages? Because I've heard people like are very careful and they're like try and block stuff, and then Kickstarter will still yell at you sometimes. And then apparently, oddly enough, like Indiegogo is even more strict with stuff like this. Indiegogo has pulled stuff similar to this where we can't see anything, but it's like too close. So it's weird that it's weird that we're in 2022 and like people are still weird about nudity, but whatever.
It's kind of ridiculous.
It's super ridiculous, right? Like, fuck them. Like,
people's heads are getting blown off in TV shows, and that's fine. But a little hanging dong and
done. You're out of here. You're through in this town.
You'll never get a job again.
Right.
I have to say, I've been trying to work in dong into more of my comics too.
Which makes sense because Ghost Planet is just everybody's in fucking spacesuits, like.
But we did.
So you're like we wanted them out of that though. Like, we tried.
We did cover though, a corpse dong, which at the time also got us. We started it as in a webtoon contest that we didn't fulfill in time, because they bounced the comic for saying that we had nudity, and their rules stated you could have nudity like naturally if you naturally covered it like with smoke or mist, but you couldn't have censor bars. So we had a square lamp that's a part of the autopsy table that was covering the corpse dong, as we said, and and so they read that as a censor bar and knocked it out for the weekend. We couldn't upload the last chapters. It was very
wow.
Have they not seen Austin Powers?
Yeah.
Right.
When when I was on Tinder, like when a date went well, like I have a smoke machine in my room. So like when I came out ready to party, like I turned the lights on, I hit the smoke machine, and I kind of like emerged as this like round, sweaty, hairy thing outside of the smoke, and like people loved it. They ate it up. I'm just that never really happened. I do not have a smoke machine. That was a lie. I'm lying to you, audience. I'm sorry.
I feel like you need one now.
I know now I have to get one. Like
fulfill the prophecy.
When
that or like one of those fancy like Gandalf pipes, so you can
my god, yes,
like, fancy shapes to censor the bits.
Then but make it like a e-cig pipe so that I can like blow out like room numbing clouds of plume smoke like that smell like cotton candy. God, I miss smoking. Anyways, sorry, Laurie. We were talking about your amazing comic and we got sidetracked by dongs and mist and
modesty fog.
Modesty fog. Oh my god, you're just a great writer. Just stop it. That. You calm down. She tried to say, like, when I told her, because Matt had told me, she was like, hey, like, can I come on your show, like, in October? And I was like, please come on my show in October. And when I sent her the lineup, I was like, hey, like, and she was like, you're fucking put me on a show with like real comic creators. And I was like, you're a real comic creator.
I said
like,
real actual comics people.
Real actual comics people. You're all real actual comics people. You're all incredibly talented and fun and great people. I'm sorry.
I would also
sorry to put you out there.
Aside from Laurie, I think you're the only one here who actually draws things in addition to writes them.
Yeah.
So I mean that kind of raises you a little bit up above us. Yeah. So don't undervalue that.
No.
She's got the Jeff Lemire thing going on. She's
like, I also make my own fonts.
Color and draw. Yeah. Oh, I do. I remember you telling Kevin and Will about that a while back.
Yep.
I remember. And what's funny is your art is amazing, and like and I love the new covers you've made for like the new issues we'll get to, but like your art's wonderful. But I remember you telling them about that, and when you told Kevin and Will that you made your own font, like the whole chat stopped and they're like, are you fucking serious? And I was like fonts are cool, but like, have you seen these covers and stuff that she's doing? And like, anyways, it was funny like that's what like stopped the fucking show. Anyways, again, sorry, Laurie. This is you know what I should call my show is Blake's fucking Sidetracked, because like I cannot for the life of me like cannot stay on the one. I can't stay on the track. Like my train is toppling over and just tumbling over itself constantly. Anyway, so you've got this. You're putting way more pressure on your artist and yourself to put out two versions of the same book, basically. Like one's sexy, nasty, awesome. One's just awesome for regular people who can't deal with dong and boobies.
No, those are non-regular people.
Those are non-regular people. Okay, so we got the regs and we got the regs and the non-regs version. Whoa. But so what made you want to? What made you want to like do that? Because I think it's a great idea, and I love sexuality being explored in numerous ways. In narrative, on covers, as we mentioned, like variants are hot right now. Sexy variants are also hot right now. What made you want to like mix that up in the interiors of the comics?
So initially, the book was just going to contain nudity. And Paul Hanley and I kind of talked about it, and we were like, well, maybe we should make one that doesn't, just in case that's an issue with publishing it or an issue with people in general. And so it initially contained nudity, and then he basically censored it. We moved it so that it was hidden. And then after we released the first issue, we had complaints about the Sideshow edition that it didn't have enough nudity. So on issue 2,
was that me? Did I see you?
Right? we just intentionally, he added entire scenes that contained nudity for no real reason other than to show more nudity because people were complaining about it. So you get some bonus dong on this issue.
Bonus dong. That's the best dong. Like I'm a straight white male, but you throw bonus dong at me, I'm gonna catch it.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm sorry. Anyway,
I have a quick question on that. Laurie,
yes.
do you find that there's a pretty even split between the two different versions, or is it like all not safe for work and a small section of safe for work? Because I have a friend who was also doing that on his book, and he printed two different versions of it.
Yeah,
for the first
I just
issue.
popped him up and took him away.
Yeah, and then for like when he had done the first issue, that when he made the second issue, he realized like 90% of the people were going for the nude version, so he just did a safe for work PDF for issue number 2 and only printed the nude version. So I'm just curious what your splits are like on that. Are they pretty even, or is it slanted one way, hang to the left?
Based on how issue 2 is going,
sorry here.
No.
Are we splitting? Are we hanging? Are we slipping? Are we sliding? No, all right, I'm done.
There's
Please
so much
answer Charlie's
innuendo.
question.
It's fine. Based on how issue 2 is doing, that might actually be something we do, because the Sideshow edition is massively overselling the other one. So yeah, that might be a thing where we just offer the PDF, because it is, because it does count as a completely separate book with different interiors. The print cost is higher. So
yeah,
it's expensive. I was just curious. Yeah.
Well, and then you have to pay your artists extra money too, because even if they draw the nude version and then go back and edit it and recover up, that's still more, that's more editing and more work for your artist. So you're like, someone's got to be getting paid for that, I imagine. And with the person Charlie was talking about is Mick Byers, and Mick hates my show as much as I do. But he's been on 3 times, maybe 4. He swears he's been on 4 times, but he's only been on 3 times. He's a little guy, a little wonderful motherfucker. I love his art. He's changing his, man, he's blowing up the comments right now. He's curious. I was to see now he's in it. He's like, yeah, tell me how to do my campaigns. But he's yes.
It's all the bonus dong.
12 copies without. Oh, so see, like, yeah. So his edited version only sold 12 copies compared to the other. You didn't give us the number. You didn't give us the metrics for the aliens, Mick. 12.
It was more.
It was more. It was more. It was more than 12. But that's cool. Like I like that. Charlie always makes fun of me because I say like I've never backed like a fully adult comic. And yes, I know like Larian and White Ash get sexy and there's sex and violence and things. But like recently with like Pat Shan, the 6-figure man, that's my little nickname for him. I gave him, and he's cool with it. But he did the same thing. Like he launched, he did a adult comic book, and that was my first, like, I'm really curious to see how it plays out. Cause I love the artist he works with and the writers, him as a writer. So I'm really interested to see like how the story and the sexuality plays out. Cause it's got to have a reason, right? Like like if everybody's just naked and slinging it around everywhere, right? And it's just fucking, you're like just dodging yogurt slingers, like all like for 30 pages at a time. You got to have more than that. And I feel like all of you are doing that. Like there's a method to the madness, and there's a reason to the raunchiness, right? So I think it's really cool. I like that. Again, like whatever your kink is, whatever you prefer, whatever gets you excited, we want more representation in our media, right? Whether we're watching it, reading it, or in comics, doing both, So I think it's, I commend you all for doing stuff like that. Wow. So that's a lot.
10 times, dude.
So, all right. So now that we know that, how's everybody gonna adjust their campaign? Like, how are the water world? Oh my god, I can't say it. The water wars gonna change. How's the dead haunted planet gonna change? How's the game gonna change? How's sacrimony gonna turn into seximony?
I need to redo the first 5 books now. I've done them all wrong. I'm sorry, this is not good enough anymore.
Hey,
I failed all of you.
You did a good #1 relaunch. You could come back with a full relaunch and refund everything in a sexy style. But you also don't need to. It's a good story. You don't. I mean,
things happen later on. That's all I gotta say.
Oh man, that's crazy. That's cool though. I dig that though. Like I like that, because sometimes I feel like we're, especially now with everything going on in the real world and all the politicking and stuff. Like I feel like we get like caught up in a lot of like real weirdo prudish shenanigans. So I'm really glad to see that like people prefer just raunchy comics. I'm down with that.
I think we've also seen like a big resurgence of, like, there was the raunch humor that started with things like The Hangover and came back for a while, and people were finally embracing that again. And Game of Thrones said, hey, this is actually how people like their fantasy. They like it, all in. And I'm very fortunate that I've read almost every book. Actually, I have read every book that's here. So, it's like, these are all great books. And, Laurie's book also reminds me a little bit of, something that Mel Brooks would have done back in the day. Like, there's some real good, dirty, funny humor, and the characters are really well defined. And for me, that's what, that combined with the great art just makes it a fantastic book.
Mick, you need to stop. Mick, you're a talented motherfucker. I remind him all the time. I know Charlie does too. Anyways, Charlie, I agree with everything you have to say. Laurie, I love your comic. I love that you're bringing the nasty out too. Like, please keep bringing the nasty. And so now I guess we should. I always forget I have other guests. I get wrapped up. Hey Tim. Hey man.
How you doing?
Mr. Tim Timmers. Mr. who's bringing the water world shenanigans. Who, what I don't like about your comic, Tim, is absolutely nothing. It's great. It's way pretty. The lettering looks great. The storytelling is great. It really shocked me how good it is. Like, it didn't like shock me. Like it did kind of shock me, because the way you kind of jump around with these mini narratives, and then as the issue 2 and 3, we get kind of longer snippets. This whole idea of like telling one shots though, and which is cool, because we're gonna hop into Jeffrey after this though. And I love the one shot. I love ongoing stuff. I love like sweeping, engaging, massive stories. But I really dig one shots, because it's just, especially on Kickstarter. I think it helps sometimes with crowdfunding. When I accidentally missed this campaign. Well, you could add it on, or you can just you could still get issue 3 and and be good to go. What made you want to go with this apocalyptic tale where water is scarce and technology is still like ruling the world? And which is also interesting too, because it's like, robots don't need fucking water, right? And that whole deal. But like, you have a big story in a lot of world building, right? And you still decide to kind of like segregate it into different moments of your mythos and history.
Little stories in a big world.
Yeah. So like, what? Because is that harder? Because I kind of feel like it's harder to do than to like stay with one character and take them on a journey, as opposed to like numerous characters, cut it into pieces, make them stand alone. Like, that sounds like a lot more work, man.
Well, I'm a comic fan, obviously.
No, you're not. Get out of here.
I've been a comic collector as long as I can remember, and I always do remember that even in the great storylines, through X-Men and Sandman and really any comic you want to pick, the good ones always told a story, right? And the thing that the trap that I was falling into, and I think that some creators fall into this trap also, is you say, hey man, I got this epic story I want to tell. It's going to be 360 pages. And I say, whoa, hold on a second. You know, people tend to absorb media in these sort of bite-sized segments. And so what we decided to do was, well, two things really. The first is each one has sort of what I call an emotional component. Like, you know, the focus is in the description. They're sad and beautiful stories. And the idea is, you know, you can read just one. And the idea is, hey, if you read number 4, you're probably going to like number 3, and you're probably going to like number 1. Like, you'll like the other ones. But you don't necessarily have to read them all if you don't want to. And I think that's one of the successes of it, is that sometimes, you know, not everybody wants an epic storyline, speaking frankly. And, you know, for the longest time, I was a short story writer, and I will tell anybody that will listen, I never got any traction as a short story writer.
Dude, me too. I was in an MFA program, and I have a whole bunch of rejection letters and no publications. So
yeah,
like, cool.
It's a tough
That's
gig,
why
right?
I liked you. We're both failures.
We got to stick together, man. We got to stick together. But it's one of those things where, how do I want to say this? First of all, that's a different path, right? You submit to magazines and you're hoping for a collection and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, you know, the thing about the short stories, you know, it wasn't until we said, hey, you know, let's try illustrating a couple of these. And almost right away, it was people like, wow, this is really cool. This is a great story. And by the way, I respect the thing I like the most about comics. It's sort of a broad platform where all of us have a very diverse amount of styles and different stories to tell, and you can tell any kind of story really that you like, and it's sort of a big tent that we all can fit under. You know, my thing is a little different, right? I don't have any heroes or anything like that, and there's nobody necessarily even hitting each other in any of the issues. So sometimes you say that you write comics and people don't quite get what you're trying to tell them. And my thing is, I jump back to it. Hey, they're sad and beautiful stories in this post-apocalyptic sci-fi world. And that's why we call it a post-apocalyptic tone poem. That's kind of our slogan. And people say, well, what do you mean by that? It doesn't really make any sense. And I always go back to when you talk about the short stories of Edgar Allan Poe, they would say the tone poem uses the wording and the setting and the tone to try and evoke a certain feeling from a reader. And that's really what we try to do. And I think I mentioned last time, I write all my stories backwards. I start with the ending, which is what I call an element of pathos, or, you know, sometimes it's a sad story, sometimes it's a moving story, but there's always what I call the emotional component, what the takeaway is from the story. And then you write it backwards and you go back to the beginning. And the curious thing about the Water Wars is that the stories are actually connected in a way. Like if you actually wanted to read them in sequence, you could, but it goes 4, 3, 2, 1, you see. Like each story is a prequel telling what happened, the pre-apocalyptic event each time. And eventually, by the time I get to number 10, we'll probably be talking about today, you know, and what I had for breakfast this morning, I guess, when I run out of future. But, you know, that was the idea, and it seems to be sort of serving me well. My best category, of course, is the returning backers, and they keep increasing each time. And, you know, I've been fortunate, too. I feel blessed that I'm, you know, especially with some of the creators in this room who I already know and got a lot of respect for. I was definitely a smaller scale guy, but it keeps getting bigger and bigger. And I, you know, look, I'm as surprised by you as you, you know. I never imagined a world where I would have 5 Kickstarters in a row. You know, it's just,
yeah.
I never even thought that was going to happen. And even when I started, that was 2019. That seems like a long time ago now, but that was Water Wars #1. And we took it to Baltimore Comic-Con, and I didn't even know about Kickstarter yet. And in those days you would, you know, walk around and, you know, I would give them away and try and get people interested in my book.
No shit. So volume 1, no Kickstarter. You just had a fucking dream and an image and a story. You made it happen, and you fucking walked into a con and tried to fucking sell comics out of the trunk of your car, basically.
Yeah, I had them in a backpack.
That is so fucking punk rock and sexy.
I didn't even the first time I didn't even have a table, and I had written a couple of books before then and had some small publishing success, very small. I wrote a book called Socket, if any of you guys know that one. Is a robot.
That's a previous. That's like you did like 4 or 5 issues of that, right?
Yeah, and that's a comedy, so that's something a little bit different. But like I say, in those days, that's what you did is you would go to a convention and you would basically try and rep your book and you try and drum up a little bit of interest. And that was when people started to say to me, hey, you should try Kickstarter, man. Which then to me was new. It had already been around for a while, but they said, hey, you ought to try, it's more of a distribution platform. Because now for mine, and I think this is true of most of us in this room, I don't raise the funds to make the book. My books are actually done. This is a distribution thing, and that's how I get them to California. And I think, you know, the last one was something like 19 countries I shipped to. Like it's doing okay. Wow. Right. And I sell on my website and stuff too, but I never imagined a scenario where this was going to keep going. And we said at the beginning, hey, what if we started right out and we said, let's get the best artists in the world, let's get the best covers, the best letterer, everything pro, go right to 100% the first time. And it sort of clicked with a couple of people, and I was very lucky. And by the way, thank you everybody in this room for what you do. It's been an inspiration to me to meet with other creators and to learn from other creators. I mentioned to Laurie earlier, we're in a couple of these groups, and one of them in particular is kind of like this coaching group, and I've really learned a lot. You know, I never had any kind of comic making class, or even if there is such a thing as that, I imagine there probably is now. All right, yeah, I guess there is comics experience. There's a couple.
Yeah, there's comics experience. There's comic school, and then
and by the way, something like that is probably very well served for a guy like me who's basically just done it by the seat of his pants. But in my view, and of course, like I say, everybody's got their own world and their own thing to sort of fill. What I wanted to do is to make something that I liked. So my audience is the most difficult one of all. It's myself. You know, I didn't get into it for the money, certainly. And I really didn't get into it for any kind of fame, if there even is such a thing in the comic business. I do it because I wanted to make these sad and beautiful stories. And that was what propels me. And that's kind of the shadowy compulsion that pushes me to make these books. And we started with Socket, and then there was Water Wars 2288, which is what I'm pitching here tonight, which that sort of focuses on what I would call the fantastic elements of the apocalypse. And of course, that one has female protagonists. I don't have anything along the lines of nudity or anything like that, or even profanity. But of course, I respect people that do. I get it that it's way crazy successful. I got a buddy, man, who he does something like 26 variant covers now on every book. Maybe you guys know him, Jim Noble, right?
Yeah.
And he's just crazy successful. So in no way am I disparaging anybody that does that. But then I do the 2288 series, and I also do the Water Wars Chronicles, which is with Erwin Arosa, and that's more along the lines of what some people might call hard sci-fi. And the idea is they're short stories, and they're framed along the lines of the works of Richard Matheson or Harlan Ellison or Isaac Asimov. If you like something like that, you would probably like Water Wars. And they're also the screenplays, the scripts that I write are distinctly framed along the lines of something like The Twilight Zone or Night Gallery, if you like those types of old TV programs. And what I mean by that is that the stories are almost in every case set up with some kind of twist at the end. And I think that the best stories are the ones that start out one way, and by the time you get to the end, you go, oh, I didn't think that's where he was going with that. And I think it makes it more compelling for a reader. And of course, my goal is to write quality stories. Look, man, I got lucky to work with some of these artists. I mean, look at them.
Yeah, the art, all the artists you've worked with are very great.
Yeah,
which is funny because like if you look, you have like beautiful women in your stories, like.
Right,
I mean,
right.
All you gotta do is take their clothes off, man. You already got the water motif, right? Like things are wet and moist and weird. Like
I will tell you this. Look, I don't need a house to fall on me. I have a plan for a Kickstarter next year that's going to tap directly into this. But I kind of, you know, we're all professionals in this room. I'm building a brand, and that's not necessarily.
I'm not professional. I don't like that, sir.
But it's like I say, it sort of behooves me to have some engine that would drive huge amounts of dollars by, you know, having this, you know, Jim's trying to talk me into this all the time. So I would do it. But my female characters are very much along the lines of, if you like Ellen Ripley from Alien, you will like Water Wars 2288.
Yeah.
If you like Imperator Furiosa from the most recent Mad Max, you will like Water Wars 2288. And that's really the feeling of it. They're sort of gritty sci-fi female characters. In our world, nobody has any powers or anything like that. It's, you know,
no, but they have agency. like they have like there's a realness and a ferocity and a need to like defeat the elements around them, which is
they're trying to survive.
They're
trying to survive, and in the latest one here, just the quick thumbnail pitch. And like I say, you really don't need to know any of the other stuff, but after escaping from a dystopian government, 2 fugitives encounter a genetically enhanced minotaur. And, of course, that ties into the other books if you've read the other one. And there is a reason why they're doing this, but it kind of doesn't really matter. And I will tell you in the story of this one, the little bit of a twist is, do you care if I'm giving away spoilers in the book? We're mostly writers in here.
Dude,
anyway,
it's your book, man. If you want to spoil it, you can spoil it.
I don't have any hangups about that. So the deal
usually I'm the one that fucks up. Usually I'm the one who you give me the issue no one's read yet, and I say something stupid.
The only one who's ever given me that instruction. You guys know Russell Nolte, right? You know him a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we had that short story in the Cthulhu book, and every show we're on, he's like, "Don't tell the spoiler," so because my stories always have a twist in them. And of course, in the current one, the idea is, they're doing battle with this minotaur, right? Who's one of the genetic bodyguards. As the corporations start to fail, they put their dark science into developing their own security force, which is they're these spliced hybrid creatures to defend the border. Well, they fight the minotaur. And of course, the deal is, it's not till the very end, our 2 heroes start to say things like, well, I don't get it. Why was he fighting us so hard just to protect a bunch of old broken columns? It doesn't even make any sense. And of course, the realization is the minotaur is basically just defending his home. The door opens and he's got a wife there, and she's pregnant. She's with child. And you realize, wait a second, this is a real creature with a heart and a thinking being, and he's just trying to protect his family. And it's sort of, so our heroes turn to each other as they suddenly realize we were just the bad guys in this story.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love that.
Anytime humans turn into the bad guys, I get excited.
I was gonna say we have a lot of tangents to that in Miss Medusa as well. The humans are often the bad guys. Yeah,
and it's something. There's always a lot of. And by the way, this happened coincidentally. I wasn't trying to make any kind of statement or anything, but generally speaking, the women are usually the good guys of the Water Wars universe, and it's usually the males are the bad guy.
Yeah.
In this case, that was the little twist up, because you're kind of rooting for the heroes, and in the end, you realize, oh gosh, we were kind of rooting for the wrong people there. And I wanted to sort of give that to you because it sort of illustrates the concepts that we're talking about here. In the, at the end of the day, I'm a writer, right? Look, I want people to say, oh, that was a great story, and I think that the stories are what lives on. And how I roped these great artists into working with me, man, your guess is as good as mine. I've been very lucky.
I thought you were about to tell us, like, the way I got all these great artists was I was like, humans are pieces of shit. Help me tell that story. And all these artists were like, yes, Timothy.
Yes.
Finally, this is my shot to do what I've always wanted.
Yeah. Well, and I think that I've been fortunate in the sense that some of the artists, and of course, I can't speak for every artist. What do I really know? But I've got a little bit of experience as an art director myself. So I tend to, we talked about this last time too. Being a comic creator is not too different than being in a band. Are any of us musicians in this room?
Yeah.
We were last time. Yeah. So
and I started making comics by self-publishing the sci-fi adventures of my real life rock band.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought you were about to say I started publishing comics by my real life sci-fi adventures. Like what you guys don't know is I am super rich and sent myself into space. And when I broke through the atmosphere and saw the cosmos for the first time, like that's when I was like, these are the stories I have to tell.
I was in my 20s still, so I was
this is when the California sober really took a turn.
Well, and where I was
said
going
it
with
was
that,
10 milligrams, but it was 25, and they're like, what the fuck, man? No.
Where I was going with that is it's not too different. Basically you hire your band, right? And man, when the curtain goes up, you let them do their thing. And if you had hired Eddie Van Halen to be in your band, when he got up on stage, you wouldn't say, no, man, Eddie, play it like this. You wouldn't say that. So almost any artistic interpretation of the crew that I've worked with, I let them flex their muscles a little bit. And what I mean by that is that as long as it serves the interest of the story, I'm even okay with changing the dialogue a little bit or where they're standing, all that kind of stuff, as long as it serves the elements of the story. And I think that artists, in my case, your mileage may vary, okay? But in my case, artists have responded to that, and I somehow kind of got a good reputation by that to where now they like to work with me.
Nice. Well, hey, well, I mean, if anything you can do, if people want to work with you, that's part of the great. I mean, hey, I'm not going to get into it. I think we've all beat the dead horse all week online right now, but all week we've been dealing with when people aren't easy to work with, and when people take advantage of you, and when people take advantage of artists. There's been a lot of that going around. A lot of stories coming out this week, and so like at the end of the day, if people want to work with you, you're doing a lot of things right. So Timothy,
I like to go the other way, though. I think, like, you look at something like Alan Moore's script, and if you try to make those more detailed, that's me.
Yeah, that's a great example. And mine do actually kind of start out that way, as far as like the details of the panels and stuff like that. Now, of course, he's paired up with, Brian Bolland, and he's got some titans in those stories too. And the one element, which I'll just mention, which we sort of, I didn't really get into, but these stories also have a musical component. We're musicians also. So each short story comes with their musical theme songs is what they are, that comprise the elements of the story into the song. What I mean by that, there's an Asian one that uses, classical Asian instruments. The new one, since it's the Minotaur, it's got and this is the next stretch goal, but we're pretty much going to hit it. So we already started making it. It uses Greco-Roman instruments. And then, of course, it sort of transforms into this metal theme song. It's sort of like a Greco-Roman Game of Thrones.
Charlie,
that's
74
awesome.
pages, man. That's an armful there.
Are you and Mick working on something, Charlie? I mean, obviously this is a joke, but like, are you guys working on something?
No, he actually did. I actually don't know if that is a joke. But he did issue 7 of White Ash. Like that one.
Oh, yeah, I knew you guys worked together before.
The ink's over. Yeah. But like that script may have been 74 pages. Yeah. but it's like it's a little bit different in terms of how my pages break down. I don't want to interrupt. Like, Tim, you go. I'm happy to talk process afterwards, but go ahead.
Well, and I guess I don't want to dominate it too much. We'll see how much each person's segment is. But the thing about the Water Wars book, like I say, if you want to just read a standalone story, you can read just one, and it'll be a story there. It'll feel complete, and you might even say something like, "Oh, that's kind of not really what I expected that it might."
But now you don't have to, right? Because you can buy the for $25 for a fucking Kickstarter deal. You can get the trade.
Yeah, well, the trade is actually for the Chronicles, which is the other series. That's the Erwin Rosa series.
Okay, so that's not that. I thought, okay, well,
that's this one. By the way, I'll just quick plug that one.
That's got guys.
That's got the chrome enhanced. I got the chrome enhanced logo. If you like such things,
I like that.
Okay, so so this is different than the 4 single issues, then.
Correct. And like I say, kind of the difference between the two. It's a great question. 2288. Has female characters, and it's kind of fantastic. By fantastic, it's got a little bit more like, I would say, like a Star Wars feel. The Chronicles is a little bit more like a hard sci-fi. It's a little bit like an Isaac Asimov kind of feel, but they're both framed in they're sad and beautiful.
Okay. Hey, I live that sad and beautiful life.
That's what people are responding to. So yeah, and the idea is at the end of the day, you want to come out of it with an experience for a reader, right? And of course, there's so many different types of experiences. Like I say, that's really the great thing about making comics. And I had a little bit of experience with making some comedies. I had a little bit of experience I had submitted some scripts for animated TV shows and stuff like that, but nothing really clicked till I started doing this. And it's hard to believe this is the 5th Kickstarter, and it's honestly, I'm surprised by it, and I'm very grateful. And Blake, I got to say to you once again, I'm really grateful for the podcasters and people who do what you do for giving us sort of a platform to pitch our products.
I'm the real hero. I don't ever get tired of hearing it.
I couldn't have done it without you, buddy.
Yeah. That's what I'm here for. No, I love it, man. You're on a great track. It's good. It's good to see you rocking and rolling. And yeah,
I'm having a good year. I'm having a good year. I tell you, and next year looks even better. There's I got a couple of things lined up for next year, which are I got, this series is slated to go to 10 issues now. I think we're up to, I got number 8 is in production and 9 is scripted. And then the Chronicles series number 3 starts next week with Irwin. And that's going to be a cool. And by the way, that one's got a remake of the Legend of Sleepy Hollow, the Legend of Mecha Hollow. So it's a robot retelling of Legend of Sleepy Hollow.
Very cool. Hey, I mean, I'm here for it, man. Like I'm in it to win it. Like I'm like I said, I've backed. I was late. I was late to yours, so like I got the digital catch up last time, and now that I got that, I can't say no. That's a lot of the campaigns here tonight. Once I got into those new issues, I can't turn my back on them. And speaking of, I know we were talking about one shots earlier, and the power of the one shot and the craziness that comes from them. Mr. Jeffrey Burandt with Ghost Planet, which, and again, like when I said earlier, like Junji Ito in space, man, like, and no slight to you, because it's very much your own spin and it's very much your own story, but stylistically and with the eyes, the extension of the eyes and the nerve endings and the spores and just the weird body horror, the cosmic body horror that you put out, like,
so
dude, it's so good. It's so fucking good, man.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. We, the part of the pitch line was Lost in Space as directed by John Carpenter. So,
okay.
Very aware of doing, sci-fi horror, and that horror is body horror. And it also tells its own story. It has a beginning and end in 40 pages. It's a one shot. It's a done in one.
It's a great one shot, by the way. Like anybody listening, like this comes out, is it the 4th the week after? The 9th?
Unclear. I think right now they are, Scout is hoping to be getting books out in 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
But there's just such a clog in the production line. It happened to everybody, and talking about not having electricity and water damage and comic impressions lost printers, and so everyone's just now coming out of it, and and meanwhile at Diamond, it's just going to kick it out every week, I think, as a matter of process until, so we're hoping, I think, for mid-November. I'd really hope to have an event for Black Friday at JHU in Staten Island. So I'm hoping for,
treat it like sneakers, ladies and gentlemen, like camp out
holidays myself, but we'll see. I know everyone's doing the best they can.
Jeffrey, do you know where to look on the Diamond website to see if it's coming out the following week for new releases?
I'm not 100% sure. I feel like I've clicked around.
All I know is I pulled up
I'll
previews.
show you exactly.
Okay.
Well, there's
previews.
If you go to previews and then you go to new releases, this is the accurate way of seeing what's actually coming out the following week, because this is what ships to stores. So Blake, go up to where it says new releases.
Yes.
See at the top, there's the bars. If you could go to, so you can see. So just click the top part for a second. Just click there, and then what you can do is you can go to next week. You scroll to the top.
Oh yeah.
Go to next week, and then if you click on that, you can select by publisher. You see where it says select publisher, and then you can go down to Scout or whoever, and that updates every Wednesday and will tell you exactly what's coming out the following Wednesday for every company. So even if there are printing delays, it lets you know exactly what's coming out the following week. So even if you don't get notified by Scout or Source Point Press or even Image, whoever it is, you can find out at least a week in advance what's actually been shipped right there.
Oh wow! Thank you so much. That's very helpful.
The Lunar website is a little bit more dicey because they constantly change the release date.
Okay.
But but at
well,
least
in
for
Lunar,
that, for Diamond,
I feels like Lunar always comes out like the week before the Diamond. Sometimes
it's hard. It depends on like when I know from the time when I was trying to do that. You're trying to coordinate 2 different shipments to 2 different companies, and then to coordinate those 2 companies to get things out in the same release date. It becomes really difficult because the turnaround process from each distribution company is different. And even if you tell them to release the same things on a certain date, they don't always do it. So you do your best. And sometimes Lunar has a faster turnaround.
So yeah, thank you
It's a
so
great
much.
book. I just gonna leave you with that. As someone who's read the entire thing, fantastic book.
We're very excited. It has Sean does this amazing work where it's a single palette per panel throughout. And
yes. Please tell me about the colors and the science behind it.
I feel absurd, but I also have a 5-year-old asleep, so I'm not going to go find. I should have had my copy, to hold up during this time, but I didn't think about it in advance. But yeah, so panels and pages will be a single palette, and that was a choice made by Sean, and then used to beautiful effect to evoke specific emotions and tension and horror. But just to submit colored work in this rapid succession for this Webtoons contest. I mean, we ultimately made this whole thing, because even when we still just went and finished it immediately when we didn't make that last deadline, but we made the thing in like 40 days, top to tail, and then made revisions in art after Scout said yes. And so, because and Sean really punched it up more. It was and so, but anyway, so that choice was made for colors just to create colored work, and then but just to use it, we were able to use it to show the passage of time without having caption boxes interject, or to convey solace, hope. The whole story is about this family of deep space explorers who think they have found a home where their generational ship can get out of space and their people can live, and so they're first wave, so they're exploring, and then one of their family members dies, and they begin to see there's that spirit on the ship, and as though it's trying to lure them somewhere, and so and then horrific things begin to happen.
Yeah. It almost felt initially like it was going to be like a haunted house story on the ship, right? But then you guys you switch it up and expand the narrative,
sure.
And which is even more impressive because you expand this narrative and still keep it as a one shot, and it's almost 40 pages, right? Like it's not. Yeah. It's not a tiny one shot. All right. You're getting a girthy boy here, ladies and gentlemen. You're getting a nice, thick, nasty, scary story.
I think it's
so cool.
I think it's dense. I think it's, I'm pretty proud of its almost clockwork nature. I think it has, I don't know, the tension of a Twilight Zone, or, any of the, maybe even Hitchcock sometimes, or Lost in Space, like I said before. And I don't know, we're very proud of it.
Which Lost in Space are you going for?
I'm sorry, say that again. Oh, do I have a PDF
right now? Because I think you can present that, right?
All right. Oops.
I think I can.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not so adept at this.
Hold on. I think we can. I was
going to say, if you just want to show some of those beautiful pages off,
for sure.
I think you can, especially if Blake has a PDF.
I have a PDF. I have a hold on. All right.
Thank you, Blake.
No,
because it's a beautiful book, and I think people should see that too.
Here we go. All right. My computer's yelling at me. It's like, don't make me open a PDF while you're live streaming. I so need a new computer. I'm not supposed to do this. I'm live streaming off my work laptop. Shh. But don't tell anybody. All right, here we go. Boom, boom, boom. All right. First of all, this cover's amazing. The ghost planet. What's that called? A logo. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's all right. So let's. We can just go through the whole.
We have an
we go through the whole page. We can go to the whole. No, but all right. So this is what we're talking about, though. Like, the color palettes, how they're segregated in panel, and how they change with the tone, and it's really beautifully done. It's not an easy fact, or it's not an easy feat, is what I meant to say.
So I was gonna say I'm okay with going to the first death.
Okay, all right. Well, someone's already dead when we start. Sorry, so I'm just kidding.
Death.
God, yeah. This whole thing is so beautiful, though. Like, I love it.
And so this started with, this was a title that I was just enamored with, a name I'd heard in pop culture, and I wrote it down once and drew like a little the planet with a skull for continents, as though, or a pulp novel. And then so Blake, I heard you say you are a part of an MFA program. So I have an MFA in fiction writing from Brooklyn College. That's why I moved to New York. And so I don't know where I was going with that.
Did you finish yours? Because I dropped out of mine during my thesis.
I did. And so I was writing. I started writing prose, and so there's a version of Ghost Planet that was for a prose short story, such that I had a beginning, end, shaky middle, and lots of scenes written out in prose of the family interactions and such. And then flash forward to New York City closing down in March of 2020. Sean and I are already working together regularly, and we're about to work on start a new project together. And then shutdown happens, and this contest on Webtoons launches. I say, I have the perfect idea for this contest. You want to switch gears and do this? He says, I give him the pitch. He does it. I start writing. I write the first chapter. I think I sent him as a part of the pitch, and then we went from there. But then he was right behind me. Like, I was writing 10 pages ahead of him as we went. So I don't know, and it doesn't read as something that was hastily made.
No, not at all. It's meticulous and terrifying, and I love it. I really do.
Looks great, man.
Dude, it's fucking so baller. Like,
yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Well, and we do hope if it's a great success, we can definitely tell another story in this universe.
You know what's interesting is this could have been, and you even have chapter breaks. Like, there are splash pages, no dialogue breaks there, and I think there's 4 of them. So this could have at least been 4 issues. But I'm actually glad you didn't do that, because the ferocity and the intensity and just the unrelentingness of having it be 40 pages, because it's you can't stop, right? It's a rolling snowball, and it accumulates as it's falling down this mountain. And so, like, once you start this narrative, once you land on this planet, you can't stop it. And 40 pages is perfect for that, because it wraps you up for like a really good amount of time, and also is easily to complete once you start, right? Because like 40 pages, you know, even with a comic, even reading 2 issues back to back, right? That's not like a crazy deal, right? That's not like reading 100 pages of a prose novel before you go to bed or something. But so the idea of that, you could have expanded this, but for whatever reason, you chose not to.
Well, but the project itself was that Webtoons contest was every chapter had to be between a range of individual panels, right? And Sean and I just knew that we would at least self-publish it at some point as a print comic.
And here's that first break, by the way. I feel like we should probably stop here. Don't scroll past
exactly.
this.
And then the page.
Such a good host. Oh my god! Like, can we all take a timeout real quick just to talk about how great of a host
You're doing a great job.
I am? No, I'm just kidding.
You did good. You did good.
But yeah, so this is. But again, like there's 4 breaks like this of beautiful splashes.
Yeah.
That give you a moment to like take a breath. You know, like, and then you continue on into the chaos, into the cosmic chaos that you've built here. It's so cool.
Sure. So which is to say that page count wasn't even a consideration at first, and in fact, it originally landed at 39 pages, and one of I think the 4th of those splashes you're talking about, we added, I think before we pitched. But it wasn't a part of that first pass, and I realized that there had been these 3 moments like that showing passage of time or these chapter breaks, which they were, and for whatever reason one didn't have one or didn't need it, or I don't know. Like I said, we did this first pass where we made the comic and then got to do edits after a little.
Well, I just love it, dude. Like, for real, like when we talked, and so first of all, when we talked, there was a halt on Scout review copies. So there was this I get spoiled. Like as a reviewer, I get a lot of comics sent to me, more so than I can typically read in a week, and I'm always terrified that like publishers are going to realize that, and they're going to be like, well, we can't send Blake these review copies anymore because he's not, and so like I'm always scared like they're going to take the treats away from me, and that when Scout stopped, like I reached out to other bloggers and stuff, and I was like did I get cut off? And they were like, no, we don't get them either. And I was like, oh fuck, thank God. I thought I was fucking sucking at like being a reviewer, right? And so when you sent this to me to check out, I was excited because I haven't gotten to read like newer Scout stuff. Yeah, and so like it just fucking it rocked my socks. But like I knew like. You sent this to me a month and a half ago almost, right? And so it's still not out yet. So that there's that weirdness to play with. But anyways, regardless, like
hey Blake, can I ask you something? Did you backed Killer Bad, this book that's behind me? Did you ever read it? Do you remember Killer Bad? Yeah,
the issue 1, there's 2, right?
We're 2 is perpetually in production.
Okay, then yes, Killer Bad 1, yes. So I thought there was 2, and I thought I forgot about it. But no, 1 was dope. 1 was dope.
Thank you.
That was a while back. That was a while back too. But yes. So, but on like it didn't. I'm so bad. I'm a clusterfuck. I don't know if any of you have noticed in talking to me for the last hour.
That's my one comic Kickstarter. I did a Kickstarter in like 2011 with a vinyl record.
Oh wow!
My band at the time, Americans UK. So that was my Kickstarter experience before Killer Bad.
And you launched a vinyl with it. Wow, like that sounds like terrible. Because all I ever hear about is when people are like, "Oh, we did this oversized print with our comic. That was a terrible idea." Oh, we did this T-shirt with a comic. Oh, that was a terrible idea. And you're like, "No, we did a custom press vinyl with our comic." And
well, the comic was just a part of what the merch table for me, and something that I was producing as the front man and I don't know. Head of the band, sort of. The album was just us making a vinyl record. Like that was always the intention. And then there was this thing called Kickstarter. And like, hey, we can get people to pay for our print run.
You know who else did that was By the Horns. Marcus Nasso has his own press, and he even with it coming out through Scout, they did a lot of their own like variants and their own, and he did he has a Virgin variant with a vinyl single that they did, and they did like a few different colors, but he did that all on his own. Like they were like, well, but like I said, he has his own, and it's not like a giant record label, but he has his own like indie record label that he did all that through. So that's
for the graphic novel I wrote that Oni Press published, Odd Schnoz and the Odd Squad. It's about a group of teens in a punk band of sci-fi adventures, with art by Dennis Culver and the colors by Ramon Villalobos, his first published work, oddly enough, being the colors for this book. So it looks amazing. But anyway, we released a soundtrack because I was in this band at the time, Americans UK. And so so any song that you come across in the book, you could go to oddschnoz.com and listen to that song.
Oh, cool.
And so to the degree with where my co-producer at the time, Peter Boyko, got his niece who was in a School of Rock program to sing, so it actually sounds like a punk band fronted by a 16-year-old girl, which is the lead character in Odd Schnoz.
What about with Ghost Planet? Like, have you guys thought about doing a custom soundtrack for that? Because we've talked about earlier with a few of these other campaigns, like, we're tearing clothes off everybody, right? We're making it sexy. We're making it now. We're bringing it there. But that is another element I've seen in Kickstarter, any comics is these soundtracks to where you press play while you read. And it's usually about like maybe 20 minutes an issue. Usually that's like kind of like the leeway. But that's pretty cool to me. It's when lyrics and stuff get attached to it, it gets distracting. But like cool music while you read a comic, and it's just music and it's very atmospheric. Like that's pretty dope.
We used to put on these shows in mostly Brooklyn and Lower Manhattan, where that I learned from Robert Sidorak of Carousel, where you project, you get all the comics and cartoonists to cut up their pages so that they work in widescreen, and just make PowerPoint presentations and do live readings. And
that's what I do on TikTok.
And then we took that up a level where my band would play ambient and sci-fi, like depending, change it up for the comic being read. Where we would play music and then end with our rock show. So we would do live versions of that, but I have not done the digital read along version.
Well, that's really cool because that aggravates me even more because it just like some of you motherfuckers are too talented. It really pisses me off. You're like, ooh, I can write, I can draw, I can make music, I can make a sweet track list that you can like you guys gotta fucking calm down and save some fucking chicken for the rest of us, man. Like I want to eat a piece of chicken too, right? I want some mashed potatoes and gravy and a piece of chicken. You're all fucking eating it all, man. You're taking it. No, Jeffrey, you're mega talented, and that's so cool. And I love that you bring music into it. If you people have not pre-ordered Ghost Planet,
start bothering your local.
Let me tell you all the reasons that you can go fuck yourself if you have not pre-ordered this comic, because it's so good. It's so good. You got to do it.
I'll check that out.
Thank you.
I would also say,
Timothy,
even if they don't get it through their LCS, they can buy it from the Scout website.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's probably some cool web store.
Will actually help Jeffrey a little bit more because that's more of a 50-50 split that he would get in his pocket than if it goes through comic book shops. So just a little tip if you're looking to support anyone who has a Scout book, if you buy it from Scout, that helps the creator a little bit more.
I have wondered that Matt, I'm so sorry that you ended up last in the rotation. You probably hate me right now because you've just been sitting around waiting to talk about your comic, and I'm so
No,
sorry.
this is great. I don't have to do jack shit. I'm just listening to you guys.
well, I'm about to put you on the spot after I ask Charlie this question, so you're about to regret that statement real quick. But I've wondered that, Charlie, because there's a lot of times where, or like Source Point Press is similar. Like you can order their trades through their website and stuff too. And as a person who's like online, trying to promote indie comics and trying to like make everybody happy simultaneously, which is fucking impossible, but I try still. But it's like, get this comic, or get it through the website. But then if I tell you to get it through the website, then like local shops are like, fuck you, man. Like I want people to buy shops through me. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, okay, get it through your LCS. But if you can't get it through the web, and I think what it comes down to is yes, it's the best route for the creatives. Well, because that's what I'm here to promote. Like I love shops and I love buying comics from shops, but like I want you guys to succeed. That's why I have you guys on my show. Like I want people to know the best route to get comics from you. And now that I know that, like because I talk to a lot of people who do Scout Comics, and like I'll say that from now on. I'll be like, hey, check out the web store variants, check out the cool stuff on the Scout website.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, as someone who was behind the scenes there for a while, and I'm no longer there. So, but I do know how the numbers work. And when a book goes to the direct market, the publisher is getting back, roughly like 42% of the cover price, right? And so when you think it's like a $5 book, the publisher is lucky to get back $2 and 20 cents per copy, right? And then that's going to go to printing costs, and then whatever's left over is going to be split to the creator. When you buy it off the website, that's a $5 book that is being split between the creator and Scout, right? So it's, or I guess in Ghost Planet case, it's probably a $6.99 book, just like thinking off the top of my head. So that's an even better thing, and it's quicker for Ghost Planet to get to profitability if you buy it through the web store, if you buy those variant covers through the web store. That said, if I was still co-publisher over at Scout, I'd probably say, go buy it through your store, because I want to also support the stores, and you want stores to keep ordering Scout comics. So it is a line that you're trying to walk between those two different things.
But you're a rogue outlaw. I am looking out. You're roaming the etherverse, just like
and I think like as a creator, you want to push people to the places where, like obviously where they should really get it is they should buy it for Jeffrey at conventions. But if you can't get it at a convention, and you can't get it off his website, then you might want to get it off the Scout website, or at which point you buy a bunch of other Scout books of creators who have been on Blake's show, and you bundle all of those together. But then obviously support your stores, get a pull list there, and get comics there too, because we want the industry to be strong. But in terms of specifically supporting creators, that's where I would suggest.
Well, that's cool. That's definitely something to think about. And another thing to think about is Sacrimony 1 through 5. I've kept.
Oh, I got to
110. Oh, you did.
Amazing.
Look at that. I got you a backer or two.
I was at 106 last I checked, so maybe you got me 4.
Yeah, I got you 4 backers. Cool.
I'll take it.
I made you sit in silence for a reason.
No, I'm cool with this.
No, it's this is amazing. I won't lie. I've liked listening to you talk on other podcasts, and I backed the last campaign and got the digital catch up, and I'm really bad about this. Like I back comics and don't read them, and I buy comics and don't read them. I buy whole fucking omnibuses and don't read them. I just like to get comics in the mail. I'm fucking weird.
I feel you. No, I do that too. I have like my to read pile is like it's massive.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's insane. And so I finally, when you mentioned when you reached out to me and you were like, hey, I'm launching in October, can I come on your show? And I was like, well, fuck, I guess I'll have to read your comic. And it wasn't.
womp.
I wasn't like I know, right? But it wasn't like that at
Sucks
all.
to
It
be
was
you.
I was like, I'm gonna have to read it. And like your comic, the way you do fantasy is really, really fucking great. And a lot of it is your art. The story's great, the dialogue is great, but like for real, your art is phenomenal. It's detailed and beautiful and exotic and sexy and as from previous conversations, like it's sexy and everybody's fully clothed, like, you know, it's just like everybody's got these like really like beautiful chiseled faces and they just like you can see how they feel in their eyes, which is as artists, I think that's very hard. Not everybody can pull it off, and there's a lot of that too. There's a lot of like conversational dialogue in your comic, and so you have to put that pressure on yourself to make these emotions like resonate through these panels where you just see, you know, there's not always like a magical battle, or someone's not always getting stabbed with a spear in the back, or you know, there's a lot of like in between moments that really bring out the story of Sacrimony, and you do that so incredibly well. And
I'm gonna cry.
Cool, please, let's get weird. I haven't had anybody cry on my show before. Like, finally. But no, it really is great, and it's so cool, and I'm like mad at myself that I didn't read it before, you know, like I had these, you feel stupid sometimes, right? Because you're like, I've had these have been sitting in my Google Drive, and I've read, you know, a handful of stuff, and I could have read this instead, right? And you get kind of mad at yourself. And so anyways, it's so good. You are so talented.
Thank you.
You're so, like, when you told me before and you were like, these other creators are like, you know, like, you're not sitting in anybody's shadow. No, you're a rising sunshine of brilliance, basically. Is what I, you know, and so you deserve to be anywhere and everywhere that is celebrating any comics. But so, like, real quick, like, pitch us. We're in the 5th issue now, right? Like,
yes.
So like you can get up to 5 issues right now of your fantasy epic, and you've got some fucking gorgeous variants on sale right now, whether they're foil or not. So tell us about Sacrimony, please.
What do I say? I mean, I pitched it. I said it was a girl who died, got better. And there's a catch. She came back to life with no memory of her past, no idea why she has magical powers, or why she has these peculiar white demon wings that she has to hide from society. And I mean, it's so much more than that, because there are 6 main characters and they all are like just going through their own shit. Like, no one has their shit together in the story, and it's great. So it's like, you know, we have the demon winged girl that came back to life. We have her mom, who has to, like, you know, her single immigrant mom who has to like hold down a job and also like try to protect this demon winged daughter. Then we've got like the yellow pigeon winged asshole who is like the estranged dad who's like fucked everything up and put the gears of the story into motion in the first place. And and then on the other side, there's, you know, like a high priest who's like trying to figure out this godly shit. And there's like, you know, his best friend who's like his right hand man, paladin type person who's like, you know, figuring out his own shit. Like, and then they have another guy who's like a reformed criminal who is like a doctor, but he's like, I guess at this point, a really shitty doctor. And, like, no one has their shit together. And what I love about it is like everyone in the story is kind of like this square peg that society is trying to put into a round hole, and it's just like not working out for them. And like, I feel like that. Like, I'm pretty sure a lot of people can relate to that. Like, it's like, oh well, you're the mom, but you're not like that great of a mom, or, you know, like, oh, like, you know, the doctor sucks, whatever.
Can I just say real quick, like, you need to stop having imposter syndrome because this book looks beautiful.
Yes.
Aw.
The
Yes, you
story
can.
sounds amazing. People of color in a fantasy setting. Like, everything about this makes me so happy and excited. And
And
like,
that you're
you're
doing it
amazing
all
and this looks
yourself is
amazing.
amazing. You talked about
Right?
a weakness or something, but it's brilliant. You're a cartoonist.
Aw,
And
thank you.
Yes.
all the
I'm
all this
also
too,
completely
right? Like,
self-taught.
all these fonts. This is all like all this is you, right? These fonts and these
Well, the
letterheads.
fancy font is not, but everything else is.
Oh well, we can lie. All these
Yeah,
fonts are
sure.
yours, right?
I did everything, all the fonts. I even designed the Kickstarter fonts and the logo and everything.
That handwritten font is yours then? Because that's
Yep,
amazing.
it's just
love
it's
it.
my handwriting. Like I was like, all right, I'm gonna like letter this, but I'm just gonna make my handwriting into a font because it's just so much fucking easier.
Is your handwriting actually that neat?
It is pretty neat.
Are you
That's
left-handed or
amazing.
right-handed?
I'm
jealous.
left-handed.
Are you really?
Yes. Are you also
Left-handers
lefty?
unite! Boom!
Yes, left-handed.
Me too.
Fist bump. Yes, all the fist bumps.
I love this.
I punched my screen.
Oops.
I love these. So like the thirsty nun is the big one. You're doing doing numbers for you right now.
Yeah,
right?
I'm so happy that there are people, even like men, who are just going straight like for the Naughty Nun cover because I'm like, this is the best damn thing I've ever done. Like, no offense to the Art Nouveau one, but like, come on, just look at that nun.
Just
look at that. Just take 'em in.
It is good. This one is also very good too, and that's your chrome cover. Too,
Yeah,
right?
that was like an impulse last minute cover because I was like, oh shit, I don't have anything that makes like a good like Kickstarter promo image or whatever. And I was like, I started working on it. And I was like, damn, this is good. I should just like fucking make it into a cover.
Well,
And so
earlier,
it became a cover.
when Timothy was talking about like how he was in this Discord without all of us and everybody was so much cooler than the rest of us, and he was like, we're in this secret Discord, and like, but I'm in a Discord. I'm in Kevin's Discord with Matta, and she posted that she was like, and she even posted, she was like, I'm really proud of this, and all of us like flipped shit. We were like, are you fucking serious? Like, this is so good. And she just posted it. She was like, I just like, she was like, I was like, eating Cheerios and like playing on YouTube, and just kind of drew this real quick. But no, Matt, your art is amazing. It really is. Like that, like the way you're bringing like ethnicity into fantasy, which I also love, because like all those fucking assholes that are like bitching about the color of mermaids and the color of elves and
like she's a fucking mermaid.
Yeah, like there are multicolored people in fantasy worlds, in the real worlds, and made like let it happen. And I love that you're doing that, and it's so cool. And like I said, like I finally read it, and I finally got to like dive into it, and all I want is more of this, is so, because it's so good, and it's like it kind of makes you chuckle sometimes. There's also this like overarching mystery. There's all this mysticism. There's all these beautiful people with these beautiful outfits, and there's so much detail. Like and like we mentioned, like you fucking do this yourself. Like you're like, and oh yeah, like I made this font, and I made the logo, and I made this, and I made that, and it's just like I love this baby. I love your comic book baby. I would like, I want to like put it in a little swing and like rock it. And I want to like put this little bottle in the microwave, and I want to like squirt it on my wrist to make sure it's not too hot. And I want to like feed your little comic baby. And I want to be like, hi, I'm Uncle Blake. Like that's what your comic books make me feel like.
I want to use that as a pull quote.
Please do it. That's yours. Because I feel like everything I just said was real fucking weird. But like,
no, it was amazing. That's exactly the reaction that I've been hoping to get. Like, I don't want like, oh well, this is a work of literature. Like, no, I want this fucking weird baby.
Well, no, it's yours. You can have it. And again, like, I'm just I'm really excited. And the one thing, because you're at 5 issues now, so like, if everything went according to plan, I use this question so many times. I need to come up with a new question. But I'm also curious, like, how long do you want to carry this? Like, how long do you want this to go? Like,
oh yeah, I mentioned I'm like adopting a pet parrot. You're stuck with me for like 50 years.
Okay, so you're
That
so
was
you're
not a
like
joke.
you're
Like,
like
that's a
you're in tortoise territory.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long story. A lot is gonna happen. Like, shit gets incredibly weird. There's like bonus dongs everywhere. It's a whole thing. But yeah, it's probably gonna be like between 50 to 70 issues. I'm not sure.
Wow.
Like, because it takes me a lot longer to get to where I want to get than I realized. I was like, oh yeah, maybe I can wrap this up in like 20 issues or whatever. And I was like, I finished the first issue and I was like, why did I think I would have gotten to like issue 5 by now? Like, or like, why did I think I could cram in 5 issues worth of story into like one issue? So it's gonna take a while to get to the end, but it's gonna be a weird, wild ride.
Well, I'm here for it, and I'm excited
Yay!
for it. And I'm like I said, I'm excited. You're into 5 issues. It was really cool when you did like the relaunch. You know, with like the new cover and stuff. And honestly, like I love your art and the everything new you keep dropping. You're like, I don't know if you notice it because maybe you're too close to it and maybe you just don't pay attention. But like your productions are getting like better and better, and they started beautiful, right? So like you started at a really high level, and all these new covers and these new issues and these new pages, they just you keep escalating, and that's so cool to me because like it's cool watching you like put out higher tier art where you're like I already dig this, like can it get better? And then you're like, well, let me make this like feather cowled foil cover, and you're just like, holy shit, like fuck, let me make this fucking like sexy nun. I'm like, beat me with a goddamn ruler, let's go.
Yes. I always joke that I'm like a considerably shittier version of Goku, where instead of like wanting to get better at fighting, like I always keep training to like step up the art like more and more. Oh, that's my flatter, Nikki. I hired her recently because I was like, holy shit, this is overwhelming. I need help. So yeah, I've managed to finally hire help.
Your audience is also really growing too, right? I mean, from every Kickstarter, it's getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Yes, thankfully. I'm like,
really
I'm
nice
doing
to see.
something right.
And
I mean,
six,
you're doing a lot
we
right.
mentioned earlier, six of six campaigns we love. Like that's huge.
That
You
is
got
incredibly
that
huge.
badge.
Yeah, it's like it's so much, it's good street cred, and it's validation because like I spent like 15 years, I did a whole Twitter rant about it, like just getting shit on like everywhere I went. So this is just like, yes, it's finally paying off.
Like, look at this. It's fucking insane.
It's pretty.
How do you do that? How do you make this? Like, how do you because do you get like really, you don't do drugs, right? Or do you? Let's
Sometimes.
get real. You just have these like this brilliant, like outside of the norm imagery, and these like you do a lot of like winged characters and stuff too, and I don't know, like the detail you bring to every page, and even not just like you know a print or a cover, but the detail you bring into your like narrative pages, you know, where you're pushing it with plot and characterization and dialogue and stuff. And again, like while you're doing all that, you're also lettering it yourself, you're coloring it yourself. You hired a flatterer. Like, okay, like thank God you're not fucking that perfect. You hired a little bit of help, which I'm glad. Like I'm glad.
Don't knock it. Actually, I gotta like digress because it's like hiring that flatter, like somehow, even though like technically whatever, it's like technically, I don't know, 20 to 30 minutes of work to flat or whatever. But it was just like, I feel like I just got so much more free time because it freed up my brain space, because it was like one less thing that I had to do. So suddenly I was like, you know, like inking like 10 pages in a week and like rendering like, you know, 3 or 4 pages a day, just because it was like, I didn't have to think about fucking flatting anymore. Like,
was that hard? Was that hard? Like finding somebody to like mesh with your style, mesh with your vision? Like did you kind of luck out when you hired that?
It was hard to find someone I could trust because I've tried to hire I always try to prioritize artist friends who are in need of work and in shitty situations, and then it's it always falls through and it's great, I paid you $100 and you didn't do anything for 3 months. Gee, thanks. So yeah, I lucked out with Nikki. I love her. She's I'll give her 8 pages and she'll be, a week later, she's like, oh, hey, here's the pages. You're amazing. And also she's chronic migraine sufferer and so am I. So we kind of we've got that kinship going on. But yeah, I mean,
so you both produce these amazing things through pain and anguish. I love
Oh no, I lie in a dark corner and curse the gods in pain and anguish. I cannot work with migraine. No, that's not productive time. I can only
shout out to Bearded. Thanks for popping in, baby. Appreciate you. But yeah, well that sucks. I'm sorry that you have to deal with that because I get bad sinus headaches sometimes, and people that for real suffer with migraines, I feel I feel like I have no desire to complain because I my buddy's wife struggles with that and yeah. So anyways, that's awesome. Well, that's not awesome. It's awesome that you're still able to bring this vision to life while you're working through things like that. But I do think it's cool that you hired a flatterer. I think that I always say flatterer, it's a flatter. There's no, I always add that extra ER.
At least you didn't say flat earther.
No. We don't talk about those here. Because I mean we don't have to because the earth is flat. We all know this. We don't
of course. And there's turtles and
we
elephants.
don't have to bring that into the conversation. It's just done. It's if the earth was round, it would, things would be different.
Shit would be just rolling around, right?
Yeah. It was just we couldn't even have this conversation. The monitors would be tumbling over, my microphone would be falling everywhere. Crazy.
Just a mess everywhere.
No, I love your comic. And I'm glad that I'm not the only one, because obviously other people love it because they keep backing it. And you've had success, through 6 campaigns now, and it's 6 campaigns and not that
since March of 2021. It's kind of insane now that I think about it. I'm I drew how many pages in 2 years?
Yeah, and these are longer comics too. They're or some of them are 30.
Yeah, they're 30 plus pages because I was 22 to 24 seems kind of like a ripoff. Let me try to make it 28. Oh wait, I guess I got to make it 30.
So what, are you thinking about ever coming out with collected editions like Timothy's doing right now, because that's, and I mean, we could bring Charlie into this too because Charlie knows the secrets behind Kickstarter, but right now variants are big and collected editions are struggling is the trend that I'm kind of picking up on. Thinking about Stephen Prince's Monster Matador Volume 1, which sounded awesome, but literally was down to the wire of him getting funded on that final day. But right now, variants are real big. And we've talked about this earlier, not only variants, but these sexy variants are starting to be a thing. And and you haven't really ventured into that. So I feel that may not be your jam, right?
Totally naked variants?
Yeah, just this get issue 6 of Sacrimony, full of tits and dong,
I thought about it, but I thought it would be a little misleading or in poor taste because Sacrimony isn't a porn comic. There's stuff later on, but it's not the main feature. Yeah. So I didn't want to go full tits and dicks out because I didn't think I thought it would be misleading to somebody who was seeing the book for the first time. So I came up with a compromise because I did want to do sexy covers. So I'm just all right, well, I'm just going to do these characters in these ridiculous sexy outfits that they would probably actually wear in story. And that's what I went with. It's not that I'm opposed to drawing that stuff because I have no fucking morals, but but yeah, it's one of those things where I thought about what would serve the story best, and if someone picks up the dicks out version and there's no dicks in the actual book, then you know, I feel like I lied to someone.
I do like that you can bring the kink and still be fully clothed, as we've seen with like the new nun cover, and I like that. Like,
did you see the milkshake one?
Of
You have to scroll back up to my covers. You should see the milkshake one. It's really cute. There's
the milkshake one.
The milkshake one. It's what I did for book 4. It's like the doctor character in like this bunny costume with a very shiny bulge and milkshakes. Yeah, there he is. And little heart pasties, you know?
Yes. Oh wow, yeah.
And people call the father time one daddy time, which I'm okay with.
And I also love the red Sonya-esque new, because this was the that was the new number 1 cover,
Yeah,
right?
and it did really well. I was like, damn, I should have done this from the beginning. But at first I was like, I was so nervous with like the original Sacramony one. I was like, who's gonna read this? Like, it's really like niche and weird. I don't know if people are gonna like it. I don't know if I want to like make collector's items. Like, who's gonna collect this? And now I'm just like, I'm gonna make like 3 covers, and you know, eventually I'm sure I'm gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna make like 10 covers for this new book.
Now, have you done any like tabling and stuff? Like, have you brought this to cons or anything yet?
I have, like, I've been doing conventions for like probably 15 years, but like I only recently started doing Sacramony. Like I had an older version of Sacramony from 2016 that I tried to sell at conventions, and like the art was really rough, the writing was really rough, so it didn't take off that well. So I was like, oh, well, I have like 300 pages of this comic that I did. I better redo it and make it better. Because that's what a totally sane, normal person would do, right?
Well, I mean, totally sane, normal people just go into the comic book industry to begin with. So, you know, anywhere you take it after that. But yeah, so like anybody listening, like you need to hop on this chaos, because it's great. It's great. It's great fantasy. The art is unreal. The lettering looks great. The dialogue's fun. The story's great. You're like, kind of fuck you, Meta, honestly, because like you have too much good shit going for you. You need to chill out. Like, save some for the
more
rest of
fuck
everybody.
yous I get, the better. I'm fueled by spite. So fuck you away.
And then last but not least, and he was late anyway, so I don't feel that bad for making him wait. I made the joke. I called him Mr. Kickstarter. And he is. You're
not wrong.
He is Mr. Kickstarter. Mr. Charlie Stickney, who's been doing really wonderful what are they called? Spaces. You've been doing really cool spaces. I do want to kind of throw out that, like, it was after Pat Shand and I talked about, Pat Shand talked to me about the beauty of spaces, and since then Charlie kind of went running with it. So I'm gonna take credit for it, even though, like, you know, I wish I could fucking hop online and have like 40 people listen to me. Like, they'll listen to me like later, but like you guys are popping on Twitter, and then, like, you know, 40, 50 people are popping into these chats, and you're not even like promoting your own comic. You're just talking about Kickstarter, which is neat. Like I think that's so cool of you to do.
Well, I think that's the reason why. And we had 95 today, which was great.
Whoa, no shit.
Yeah, it was 95 during the stream, and then afterwards, I think there was another 50 or so who have picked it up so far. But
what are you doing when you record them? Are you going to release them as like a podcast or
no? I just tweet them out afterwards. So I think it's live on Twitter for another 30 days. But I think it's like the same thing with your show, Blake. You know, you want to give back to the community. And, you know, for me, I am in the privileged position that my stuff does well on Kickstarter, that I have a fan base there. And, you know, I mean, like, the books are good. I work with amazing artists, but we've cultivated something and it continues to build. And so I just want to give some of that back to other people, because I know, you know, it's not as easy for everyone to bring a project to Kickstarter and know that it's going to do X number of dollars and X number of backers. But I think Kickstarter is an amazing platform. I know you were talking a little bit earlier about it being a publisher. I think a better way of looking at it is it's a distributor, like an alternate to Diamond or an alternative to Lunar, or because really what it is the place where people can go to order comics that then come to them, right? And that's what Diamond is. But the people who go to Diamond are exclusively stores that are ordering it. Stores can come to Kickstarter, creators can come to Kickstarter, and so it's a curated hub of the hottest things that are going on currently in indie comics. That's the way I like to look at it. And so I just think it's a great thing to promote because it is a community. We're all on here together tonight, and hopefully 3 or 4 people who like me are watching. 3 or 4 people who are big Sacramone fans are watching. Laurie, hopefully has like 100 people who have come to watch the show. 50 of them left when she wasn't green. But that we all have a community that we bring, and and I want my community to check out Water Wars. I want my community to descend on Baltimore City Comic-Con and pick up the last few remaining ash cans from Jeffrey that he can now charge, I think, $50 an ash can for, because they're almost completely sold out. Right? Like that's what I heard they're going for, is $50, and I think that's a steal of the price.
It's a hot commodity now. Yeah,
definitely.
but like I think like and like I'm working with Laurie. We did a little cross promotion that we have going on with a couple of other campaigns as well. Like
not a little cross promotion. You have a fucking metal print that if you back 4 different campaigns, like powers combined Captain Planet style, like Earth, Wind, Fire, Water, like you guys get this awesome like it's metal. And you get it for free. Yeah. I mean, you got to pay for the other campaigns, but you get it for free if you back
and
all these campaigns.
Laurie. That was all Laurie putting this together. I mean, I think she's a force of nature, and that anyone who's watching the show who's not following her or following everybody who is here tonight is they should rethink their life priorities if they're not following and
I rethought mine.
And buying the books of all these creators.
It's crazy. Like, sorry to interrupt you, but like, because I follow a lot of Kickstarters and I talk to a lot of Kickstarter people. I talk to a lot of crowdfunding people, and like, I didn't when you introduced me to Laurie, like Laurie, I'm sorry, like I did not know who you were, and I felt real fucking dumb, and I feel dumb a lot for random normal things typically, but like I like to think I know who like the talented crowdfunder creators are, because like I'm in it. I'm here. Like I try to be in the scene, and it's so crazy. Like, regardless of like this month and last month and all the campaigns and how busy crowdfunding is right now. But even in those instances when we're not, like you've been around for a while. All of these creators have been around for a while, and it's so easy to like miss these wonderful, talented people. And that's what I hope my platform helps with. And when I have people on like Charlie who introduce me to people who remind his audience of like these other people he works with, this awesome like cross promotion, this 4-way cross promotion that you guys are doing, which is totally fresh. Usually it's 2, usually it's like back this campaign, you get a print. You guys are doing 4 really doing well campaigns for a metal print that is at no additional cost. Like I think the game needs more of that. Like the crowdfunding game needs more people to come together in intriguing and fun and exciting ways. And it helps you guys too, but it's still like, it's crazy what you miss. Like you think it's fucking MTV's The Real World. It's like, you think but you have no idea. Real world, Los Angeles. Like, it's like that's how Kickstarter feels a lot. Anyway, sorry, Charlie.
Well, but I think you're completely right though. It's that's why we have a responsibility to pump each other up in a way. Like we have to be advocates for each other. That's why I want to bring good people onto your show. I want to make sure that I'm backing as many other campaigns as I can, because I know there are people who follow me. And when when I back something, then they see, oh, this campaign is live, and maybe I'll check it out too. So yeah, I mean, like it's so like I said, like I one of the reasons why I actually was stepping back from Scout is I thought I could actually do more for the creator community through Kickstarter.
And you've been doing that in spades.
Well, because like I know I can really affect things. The direct market is a very hard beast to navigate, but I know that I can have a real impact supporting other creators and lifting them up, and highlighting what they do through Kickstarter and crowdfunding, which I really think for a lot of creators is the future, because the direct market is becoming more and more crowded, and there's always going to be a place for distribution after the fact. But I think if you want to make your money, if you want to make you want to make your presence and find your audience, a great place to go is Kickstarter for that.
What's your score at right now, Charlie? What's your life game score at? Like
my life game. I think it depends on who you ask. My kids and my wife would have a very different assessment of where my life game score is. Like, was Daddy here tonight? No, Daddy was popping his sumatriptan so he could put his migraine away, so he could come on Blake's show tonight. But I think we all do our best, and I think as you get a little bit older, you figure out who you are, what kind of skill set you have, and I'm so anyway. Like, all that aside, I'm really excited. The game is doing well. Connor Hughes, who draws White Ash, is also drawing the game. And it's like, for anyone who's seen White Ash and likes that big expansive universe, we're doing the same thing with grounded sci-fi. The quick pitch on this is, imagine Sam from Quantum Leap ended up jumping into the body of the Highlander, but had no idea what was going on. The longer log line, it's about a young guy, Eli, who turns 30, and all of a sudden people start thinking he's player number 3 in a game that's been going on for about 3,000 years. And he needs to figure out what's happening if he wants to survive, because all of a sudden he starts seeing this scoreboard that's tracking everything that he does in life, and basically judging everything he does. His score goes up or goes down based on his actions. So so it's I mean, like, there's some good art. There is, I would say this also is a little sexy in some ways, but I think that's just Connor's art in general. But it's a really pretty book. Triona Farrell's doing the colors, which gives it a very different look than White Ash, even though Connor's the same line artist on both books. Yeah, I'm really excited to introduce everyone to this, and this is a Kickstarter for issues 1 through 3, and it's off to a great start. And in terms of cross promotion, we're going to be doing something else, which I'll be announcing on Saturday. But a quick little heads up on that is it's going to be a bit of a puzzle hunt that's going to run through some other campaigns, and another way to promote some other things and some other people.
Very cool. So now with Galarian, your last campaign, Galarian, you're still doing single issues, but like this issue, so like the game issue 1 dropped a while back, and you're doing issue 2 and 3. Yes. Yeah. But with your last White Ash Deluxe Edition, you kind of released like a double issue. So like, I'm too much about Kickstarter. You really do. And you're a humble person, and I know you'll say, like, I'm not the only one here, and like, it's the people I know and the people I work with, and I appreciate how humble you are. But I also know, like, a lot of people I've interviewed, a lot of friends of the show, and a lot of like big other Kickstarter talents with big followings who have like, these like, really, flushed out and campaigns that fund easier than others. They come to you for advice, and I know that's one of the reasons why I know that variants are big right now. It's a little harder to push collected editions, but it's easier to push like variants and stuff. What is going on with these double issues, Bud? Like, is this a new thing? Like, is that going to be like a new trend? So like, not necessarily a trade, but like a deluxe sized, 50 to 60 issue, like double issue kind of thing. Cause you're running almost back to back between Y Dash and this new deal with the game, and you've had, you know, the same structure for both of these. So like, where's that coming from?
Well, so I think it's a couple of different things, and it depends on who you are as a creator and how much you can raise. I think you always need to be thinking long term and short term. So for me, doing the double issue lets me do less Kickstarters in a year and get out more content.
Okay.
It gives you a higher price point per book if you're doing a double size, because it's easier to say charge $20 or $25 for something that's 42 pages versus you're trying to, you know, maybe charge $15 for something that's 20 pages, and then people start thinking about that math. But then the other thing that it does is, if you're looking to do some direct market distribution down the road, it preserves those things as single issues that have never been released, because you only released it in a 2-issue format. So, you know, I can come back with the game, and if I do issue 2 and 3, and then the next one is 4 and 5, you know, that's only 3 issues on Kickstarter, but then I can put it out in the direct market as a 5-issue series. So, you know, you're preserving formats for different markets. For me, because I know I can hit the slightly bigger numbers to accommodate the amount of money I'll need to create that, it just makes sense. So I'm thinking about all of those things. I think, you know, what you were saying about the collected editions, it comes down to the creator and the fan base, because like there is also a huge market for prestige hardcovers and things right now. Like if you look at, I think Dark Crystal dropped like a day ago from Boom, and that's well over $100,000 right now. It's averaging over, I think it's something like $350 per pledge, which is crazy. You know, I know Steven had a hard time, and some other creators have had a hard time, but also Skies of Fire just blew it out of the water with their hardcover edition. You know, so there is space for the hardcover collected edition. It just depends on, there's a lot of different things. I don't want to sort of break down, because I've talked a little bit with Steven about, you know, that project, and it's a good book, but I think sometimes it's marketing. Sometimes it's what your project image is. The one thing that I will say to anybody who's looking to get into Kickstarter is make sure you have enough women in your project and your project page image. I think, you know, the market that comes to Kickstarter is not looking for a dude-centric book. You know, if you look at the books that are big hits on Kickstarter, I can't think of any off the top of my head that are like male-driven or mostly men.
Wow.
Like, you know, like think about like the books that are big books on Kickstarter. They're almost like this badass woman, or it's a team of women, or it's a mixed team. It's not like superhero books in general don't do as well on Kickstarter as they do in the direct market. But that's another thing. But it's fantasy or it's horror, but it's often like, if you look at the projects, the biggest ones, they have a picture of a woman on that project page image. So, you know, like I think things like that are important to take into consideration, and you need to know what does well in different markets. And so
all of the campaigns here tonight have like very important females in their cast. Like, that's crazy. I didn't even think about the gender aspect.
Yeah, I hadn't considered that either. Thanks for sharing that, Charlie.
Yeah, it's like, but like go through the project page images. Like if you start to like the most funded of all time, aside from Berserker, you know, which you had Keanu Reeves, and everyone thinks he's beautiful. So
he's
like,
a beautiful
I think,
man.
like, you know, you put that aside, but you go through, and the majority of those are pictures of women, and you know, I mean, like you think of the franchises, like The Few and the Cursed is a big, you know, like in that you know, female gunfighter. You have Skies of Fire, and that, you know, that's beautiful art, but there's definitely plenty of women in that book, also front and center. You know, Pat Shand, all of his books feature women.
Very, very beautiful, very vibrant, very well fleshed out women.
Niobe is another good example.
Niobe, Lady Death, you know, which is like the biggest book on Kickstarter. So like you just start thinking of those. Ava's Demons right now, right? Like these are the big books on Kickstarter that seem to follow. They're usually a female protagonist, because I also think that there's a lot of women who maybe don't go into comic book shops who are looking for content, and they can come to Kickstarter and they can find it. So you know, like all of these things you should take into account when you're thinking about what kind of project you should launch on the platform.
Man, you're smart, Charlie. Did anyone ever tell you that before? You're just a smart cat.
I don't know about smart, but I've done this enough to have
You have
picked up
done,
a
yeah.
few things.
You have done it enough, but you also like you've done it enough and you've done it well, and it's super like intriguing and inspiring to like watch the crowd part of crowdfunding just like follow and swarm upon you, and you deserve it. Your stories are great. You're a great storyteller. You know how to make great comics, but I feel like, the part of the stressors of crowdfunding is, not everybody knows how to market things. You know, even me myself, like, I'm not a comic book creator, but like I'm a comic hyper, and people have told me like you brand well, and I'm like, it kind of, for me, it all kind of like happened on accident, and I don't really have like a formulaic expertise in how, I got from like point A to point B, but that you have like accumulated this like scientific database of, how to crowdfund, how to market yourself, how to brand, how to make great comics, and not only make great comics, but how to make great comics and get eyes on them, because that's a big problem right now. Whether you want to blame the algorithm, whether you want to blame oversaturation, whatever finger you want to point, there's a lot of great comics out right now, or that are coming out, or that are crowdfunding, that some people just don't see. And I mentioned that earlier, like, like I didn't know, Laurie or Laurie's Press, and like, or like Timothy, like Water War. Like, I didn't know Water Wars until the third issue. Like, it just slipped under my radar, and these were like very, very polished, very beautiful, very well done books. And like, it's crazy. Like,
Well, I
like,
guess the flip side of that is you found them, right?
I
You
did find them
found
eventually,
right?
yeah.
Like that's like, and their audiences are growing, and I mean, over time, that's what it's designed to do. The good books keep coming back, and they get bigger audiences, and those creators are found because they're putting out great content. That's why Sacrimony is probably going to do 150 to 200 backers this time around, because people keep finding the book, and they keep coming back and say, this is something that we want to do. So you can grow an audience. Not every project is going to be in the same range. Like, I wasn't expecting the game to do, what Glarian was close to 1,800 backers the last time out.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, for me, my goal for this project was going to be, like, on the low end, I wanted to hit 800 backers before it finished, and then I was hoping I would hit around 1,000. I think I've got a legit chance to hit about 1,000 for this new series. So then all of a sudden I have this other series that can then support new things going forward. So it's an ecosystem. But yeah, like I mean, I also have the advantage. I worked in animation for a while, and I worked in, I cut trailers for feature films for a while. So I've worked in pitches and in promotion for a long time. So these are all different elements that you sort of have to think about what's going to resonate with people, and how to sell your project. And I think the best thing about Kickstarter is we are all brands. I mean, you look at everyone here in the chat, and indie comics, you have to be that brand. And these are amazing creators that I'm here with tonight, that you have on your show. And I'm really excited to see everything that everyone does going forward. But like that's the exciting part about being part of the independent comic community. The books are great, and we're all telling amazing stories, but the creators even more interesting. And I'm just glad to be part of that community.
What I mean, I remember when you announced that like you were leaving Scout, and everybody flipped shit. And I was, like, I'm part of a couple press lists that I got, press updates after the announcement. And it kind of shook the indie community. And everybody kind of tried to like play the narrative into like a more dramatic thing than I hope it really was. But like, when you kind of when you announced that you were leaving Scout, like, you also spent more time talking about how great Scout was than you spent talking about you leaving or why you left. Which I mean, you're a high class person. You know, you know how to. You know how to play the game, right? And you weren't trying to spark drama. You weren't trying to you know, you weren't trying to be like menacing. You weren't trying to like be mean or anything. But when you made this huge shift, like what I've noticed since you've left Scout, since you've focused more on your new Kickstarter, with the game, but you've also been doing, like we mentioned, you've been doing a lot more of these spaces. You've been doing a lot more Kickstarter consulting. And like, and I think a lot of that consulting is you talking to like friends and peers that you respect. But like, was that kind of your plan? Like, is that kind of why you wanted out of like direct market? Like, cause it's very smart, like what you're doing. I've seen other creators do this because it's not manipulative. Like I really, like, I don't want to offend. I really hope I don't offend you by like where I'm going with this, but like
I'm out.
But you have more, you have a little bit more time, right? You have, instead of focusing on like, new projects for Scout, you're able to focus on like new trends for Kickstarter. You're able to focus on your own Kickstarter campaigns. But like I said, you've been doing these spaces, you've been having these like really intricate talks that are catered to creators, not press, not consumers, but like you're putting a big focus on creators and helping them succeed. But while doing that, people notice like, oh yeah, Charlie Stickney taught me how to run a fucking Kickstarter, and he's got a campaign going on right now. Like, is that like, is it like, are you thinking in promotional terms of that, or are you just like, or are you just really like a fucking altruistic mutant that like isn't supposed to be real? Because there is no true altruism, right? Like altruism is fake. Like it can't be real. Like like when you like take it apart, but you're out there, like you really are. You're helping so many people, and I've watched this blossom in like the last 3 weeks. Like it's been blowing up.
Well, I think one of the things, when you're part of a company, and and Laurie knows this, like when you speak, you represent all the creators that are under the umbrella, right? So you have to be a little careful about what you can say. So, when I was co-publisher of Scout, I had to be more guarded about everything that I said online, because I don't want that reflecting back and having bad press on, on Jeffrey from Ghost Planet comes out, right? So like it's really important, and you have, the more creators that are at a company, the more responsibility that you have. And, for me, I took that responsibility, and I still take that responsibility very seriously, because I know how hard it is as a creator to do things in the independent comic space. So, I'm trying to pass on knowledge because I want everyone to do better. And that will help me. The more informed other creators are, the better their Kickstarter campaigns are. That's going to reflect back on me, sure. But, specifically in terms of like the things that I could do at Scout and I can do now, is like I can take risks in terms of what things I say. I can do things without having to worry that if I have a misstep, it's going to reflect badly on some of the other titles that were under, the purview of what I was doing.
Okay.
And so, and like, I love that there are companies like Scout that are out there, and I want every creator who has a book there to have a huge release, right? But I'm also, being pragmatic about the realities of the direct market right now, which is, it's really tough place for independent creators. And so, for me, part of like the decision in my mind was a calculus of where I can help people more. And also, yeah, for my own stuff, like there's only so much time that you can spend. And if I'm spending too much time on my own things, then how can I make sure that Ghost Planet gets off to, a good start. And you also don't want creators resenting you because you're doing your own thing. And, if they think your job is you're supposed to be helping them. So it's a total balance. And so for me, it was trying to make that choice and say, what's the best thing for my own personal career, but also where's the place that I can help creators more. And I seem to have, gained some influence in the Kickstarter market in a way that I haven't, that I can't impact the direct market. So why not go to the place where I can make the most money for myself, but also where I can have the most positive impact on other people. And, along the way, I want to have conversations about, let's talk about numbers in the direct market. Let's talk about, what's the best path for, your career. Do you want to have a conversation? I'm happy to have those talks right now about, who are the people you should be working with, and why should you be working with those people? So I'm freed up to have those conversations now, but I only have, good thoughts for anybody who's working. Like I still have books under contract with Scout. So it's not like I've separated. I've just sort of stepped back from my duties there. But I'm doing my own thing on Kickstarter, and I'm looking forward to promoting lots of people. And yeah, we're here tonight. We're talking about wonderful books, and hopefully, like I said, some of my people tuned in. And I just look forward to the future. And you're right, Blake. And I would say that even after leaving Scout, I've heard and talked to more publishers from other companies than I ever did when I was working at Scout. So like it's really sort of an interesting place for me to be right now, where I'm just as a free agent able to float around a little bit and understand the indie comic community even in better ways than when I was helping run one of the places that was, a home to a lot of people.
That's awesome. I mean, I think it's amazing. And like I said, like I want to be a creator one day, right? Like I would love to, switch sides one day, but just watching you kind of wow, this sounds so cheese dicky. Watching you blossom in the last few weeks. God, that sounds terrible though. Like, but it was like the things that you've been able to do, like just with these Twitter spaces and these big groups that you're able to influence, and not just influence, and like teach them things and help them traverse like the fucking chaos of crowdfunding. Cause it's fucking chaotic and it's scary. It's stressful.
I hope so. Like I don't want to say that I'm necessary. Like I don't want to be in the place where I feel like I say I know these things, right? I mean, I think I know some things and I'm willing to share what I know, but I think everyone's going to find their own path in this and figure out what works for them. And some things that work for me just won't work for other people. And I mean, I think also being a white man in the comic industry gives me certain privileges that other people don't have. No. And a voice that people might listen to in ways that they wouldn't listen to say Laurie or Meta. I don't know, like I don't know, but that may be the case. But so I'm going to do what I can to help people. And, if it's helpful, I'm happy.
Well, I'm glad you're happy, because I know you make a lot of other people happy too. Because like I said, I've Stephen, I've been trying to do my own PR kind of with Jonathan Hedrick and Stephen Prince. Like I kind of tried some, I did like some commercials in my podcast for their campaigns, and was kind of like playing with like PR stuff, and we talked about some things, and I talked to Stephen Prince, and everything that like we talked about always turns into like, or doesn't turn. And I don't mean this like negatively, but like afterwards they're like, well, I talked to Charlie and Charlie told me this. And it was like, oh, like you made a bunch of this shit that didn't make sense. And so I just love that your experience, your knowledge, and that you're like giving back to us. And also it's really like intense that like on top of doing all that, you're also like still writing stories, and you're still making comics, and you're, it's very, it's kind of crazy, man. Like the things that you're doing. And so if that's the freedom of you kind of like this isn't good sounding either, but like of you leaving like the shackles of the direct market, but like, you know, like the things that you're able to do now, and like, it's cool, man. You're
well,
fucking
thank you.
awesome.
I will also say, like, that I do like the direct market. I plan on putting books back out in the direct market again. But, you know, I mean, like working with Laurie, I mean, I try to work with people who I can learn things from too. And like, that's the important thing. And I think that we should all be doing. When I first moved to LA, one of the best pieces of advice I got was from this drunk guy at a party who was a young producer. And he was like, he's like, you should meet as many people as possible. He's like, you know, you listen. He's like, you don't know who knows, you know, anybody. So always be open to taking meetings, to talking to people. You never know who's going to meet people. He's like, listen to what they have to say. He's like, 90% of what everyone says is bullshit, but that 10% is really important. And I was like, okay, I'm writing this down, meet people, listen. And then he was like, and just so you know, he's like, there's a lot of women in positions of power who are in their 40s. He's like, sleep with as many of them as possible. And I was like, okay. Like I was like 23 at the time. And I was like, okay, this is a good talk. Thank you.
That went off the rails very quickly.
Yeah. It was like,
that went exactly where I thought it was going to go.
I was like, oh, he also had some. I've met a lot of crazy people. I mean, but this guy's like mother was a producer, and they were having some house party for someone who was tangibly related to like people who had just done Swingers. So it was all part of a thing. But like, there's so many stories like that in Hollywood. But yeah, I was just being told to sleep my way to the top. And now
here you are.
And here I am, you know, in the indie comics community, making my way. One Kickstarter campaign at a time. We all have to have our own special ways of bringing in backers.
So this is your secret. Now you've divulged your secret.
Yeah.
But that's what I do.
The real Kickstarter secrets no one talks about.
They didn't talk about this in the Twitter spaces today.
That's right.
You couldn't get this when he was tied to a corporate entity.
It all makes sense now.
And not before, like, I mean, it's almost 10 o'clock here, so on the East Coast, it's appropriate time to have.
Oh my God!
I've almost kept you all for 3 hours. So this was amazing. All of you have wonderful campaigns or books coming out through the direct market. You are also fucking talented. You're also the way you like conduct yourself on social media and on Kickstarter and just, you know, dealing with fucking weirdos like me. I really appreciate it. I know it's late. So like, I want to go around real quick. I want everybody to say their goodbyes and let us know where to find you, where to keep track of you. Laurie, you haven't talked in a while, so let's start with you. I know you've got a campaign going, you've got a boutique press going. I'm sure you've got some awesome social medias. Like, where's the best place to find you? Where do we keep track of you at?
Wow. Okay. So yeah, currently running Miss Medusa's Monstrous Menagerie. If you want to back it, it's just uhstudios.com/kickit. So it should be pretty easy to get to. For our social media, it's just on Facebook, it's at UH Studios, Twitter at UH Studios, Instagram at UH Studios Official. We're pretty easy to find. And then for me personally, it's at LAF Inker or at LAF Model on Twitter and Instagram. And you can come see all of our crazy projects and crazy cosplay covers and all kinds of stuff.
Very cool. Laurie, this was so fun to get to talk to you tonight. Like, anything Blake's Buzz can ever do for you in the future, I know it's probably nothing, but like, if you ever want to deal with this clusterfuck again, you're welcome back anytime. You've been a joy to talk to. And like I said, the Miss Medusa's Menagerie is awesome. The art is beautiful. I am so excited to explore more of that story. And I really hope other people listen to this and back that as well. Everybody should. If not, you're stupid. It's not my fault that you made that mistake. That's all I got to say about that. Next up, Timothy. What's up, baby? Like you, same thing with you, man. Where we keep track of you? What do you got going on?
You can find me on my website. I'm earthdogstudios.com, or I am on Facebook, Timothy B. Fling. Got a Kickstarter running, which I'd love to have you check out. It is Water Wars 2288, a post-apocalyptic tone poem. Before I go, I just want to say a quick thanks to everybody. It was really great to meet the other creators. I actually felt like I learned a lot tonight, too. Thanks in particular to Blake. I'm grateful for what you do. And also Charlie for the words of wisdom there at the end. It was inspirational, man. Thank you.
You're welcome.
He's good at that, right? Like he just
I got something out of it.
I
got something out of it.
Charlie's a national treasure. Let's just put it that way.
He really is. He's
you guys are very sweet.
He's ready to like steal the Declaration of Independence like fucking Nick Cage, man. Like,
and now track down
off
marketing my own book during this very live stream. It was very appreciated.
Jeffrey and Charlie, I will meet up with you guys in Baltimore.
Yeah. Baltimore this weekend for a lot of people is going to be great. Jeffrey, we've talked about Ghost Planet is coming out in the next couple early November
before
is
Christmas.
Plan, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, just in time for the holidays.
Before Christmas, space will suck you dry, suck your eyeballs out, leave you stranded in a pit of despair. That's gloriously colored, gloriously drawn, and wonderfully narrated. I cannot recommend Ghost Planet enough. Such a great one shot. That very rare that like one shots hit as hard as this does. So like very cool. Yeah, Jeffrey, where do we keep track of you, bud? Where's a good place to keep track of all your future comic stuff?
Sure. You can. I'm Jeff with one F _UK. On Twitter and Instagram, so at Jeff UK, and then my website, Jeff Writes, JEFWRITES.com, is where you can read. I've got quite the collection beyond announcements and previews of things like Ghost Planet and Killer Bad. I've got quite the collection of short stories that of free comics you can read on my site, which I'll also link you to my sci-fi rock band of old, Americans UK. I kind of obliquely reference them tonight, but we were a sci-fi rock band in New York for a dozen years, and we've got some cool comic book inspired music videos and such. That's at Americans-UK.com.
Never stop, dude. Just keep doing everything you're fucking doing, man. I'm here for it. Matta.
Hi.
where do we now? Okay, and also Matt, I forgot to mention this to anybody else. If anybody has like, I know you've got like a Patreon and stuff too. Like, so like, where do we find you? Where can we give you money? Where can we subscribe? Like, let us know.
I have my sort of central hub / portfolio site that I haven't updated in a while, but it's just msorcier.com. You can also find me on Twitter, where I am very loud and I show lots of cat pictures at Matta Sorcier, all one word, at Twitter and Instagram. Also, the Sacrimony Kickstarter, you can find it at sacrimony.com/Kickstarter, because I like to make things easy like that. And Patreon, in case anybody wants to throw spare change so I can buy cat food while I draw comics. It's patreon.com/Sacrimony. Cat food is expensive, yo. I have a cat with IBS. I have to spend like $100 a month on food for him. It's ridiculous.
Patreon is very important. Speaking of Patreon, if you really want to fucking get crazy, you can go be a builder bee for Blake's Buzz. Oh my god, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. This is about you guys, it's not about me. Anyways,
smooth.
Does anybody else have like Patreons or any like thing to like funnel you guys money, like like underground cocaine tunnels or anything weird we can talk about online, man?
I got my YouTube channel rocking. I didn't
really hoping someone had an underground cocaine tunnel. I'm really
working on it,
guys.
Working on it. Digging my way with the spoon. It's gonna take a while.
And last but definitely not least, Charlie, the man with the plans.
The first thing I will say is, if anybody has sat through 3 hours of us chatting, thank you. This was an epic stream. This is one of those things, like, if you're here, you win. Contact Blake and you'll collect your prize. But the best place to find me is at Charlie Stickney on Twitter. That's where I do most of my interacting with people. I have a Facebook place, but I probably won't friend you because I just try not to friend people I don't actually meet in person because I'm, old like that. And aside from that, I guess there's a White Ash comic on Instagram where I post lots of other people's really pretty art.
Very cool. Everybody, yeah, anybody who hung around and listened to the whole thing, anybody who watches this, listens later, like, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I really hope you all check out these amazing campaigns or just pre-order Jeffrey's comic coming out from Scout. But for real, like, I cannot say enough how talented all these people are, how wonderful all these comics are. They are worth your time. They are worth your money. And they're worth spending some extra bucks on some fucking variants or some holofoil covers or something. Like, just give these people your money. They deserve it. They're working hard. They're working hard out here telling stories for you, right? They're not telling stories for me. They're not telling stories for themselves. I mean, I guess they kind of are, because, like, you do it because you love it or whatever, but, like, fucking give them fucking money. Buy their fucking books, man. They're working hard. Get them. Listen, don't be an asshole. Treat people with respect. Okay. Don't go in people's DMs and get weird. Just let's all treat people with respect. Let's all remember that we are human beings and we're all here for the same thing, to fucking wake up in the morning and just try and survive. And you know what? Love more, hate less, read comics. And you know what? It's my birthday. It's my birthday tomorrow. That's my birthday now.
Birthday.
I'm 37 years old.
Welcome to the 37 Club.
I didn't realize we talked so long. We talked for a long time. Everybody, thank you so much. I'm so sorry you had to put up with me for so long. This was great. I love doing this. I'm not going to stop. I don't know how to shut up. Have a wonderful night.